Morning chat, how's everybody doing today? I'm once again joined by Octavian. We've got a ton of content for you today, bringing you the cast for the iolite Gauntlet series, brought to you by Zizaran and Shopify Rebellion, and sponsored by Redbull. So, pretty exciting, and I think I'm going to pass it over to Octavian just now.
Howdy, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for the intro, BigSil. always happy to hear your voice in the mornings. These have been some enjoyable streams to cast, and I think you've done an excellent job. Before we dive in, I just wanted to toss you a compliment.
Oh, I appreciate it, my man. You know what? Like, as someone who doesn't do this for a living, and I'm just along for the ride, it's really nice to hear that it's appreciated. So I appreciate you too, in equal measure. So,
but before we get too wishy-washy, we've got some death.
Yeah,
some death for chat, and we will start with, I'm sure, the one that most of you, if you're already here on this channel and you're fans of it, are familiar with. The man himself. It's not a long clip. I believe this was a Chimera map that was offered by Zana, which is why the map has Frenzy Charge on hit, because that is something you would never roll if you were rolling the map yourself. But Zana can give you whatever she wants, and Ziz really wanted the Chimera kill. I assume he didn't have a Chimera drop himself yet, and he was feeling pressured by the fact that players are starting to go for bossing encounters now. So he took the dangerous Zana map and did not live to regret it.
That's so much damage. I mean, and you're right in mentioning the Frenzy thing. He mentions, even in chat, he types it out, like, for Frenzy is scary. So definitely, if you can avoid it, chat, like, avoid Frenzy Charges on any of these Guardian maps, especially Chimera, to be fair. Please do. Watch out, guys, but this is... I think it chunks him for... Correct me if I'm wrong, like, he's already at... He starts the encounter a little low there. What about...
Yeah. Out of mana as well for most of it, so it's hard for him to make distance or drop his taunt totem to get the dude off of him. You can see he desperately tries to get it out at the end there. And the Frenzy Charge mod, like, you can say, oh, just don't get hit, but... Yeah. And they won't get frenzies, but, like... Chimera with Turbo is going to slap you, and especially on the build that he's playing with the Spectres are going to get hit, and then he's going to gain frenzies off that. Like, he'll have frenzies. It's not if, it's when.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I have paused on screen at a point where he has 1700 life, but only about 15 mana. So I think you're actually very. Your analysis was accurate in that. Like, he just couldn't. He maybe couldn't dash out. Maybe didn't have the mana, and just. Like, because of that, just gets automatically hit by the next one. His block just doesn't come through either time. Actually, does he even have it up? Does he have Bone Offering up, actually, at the time?
I don't think so, no.
He doesn't.
Nor Fortify.
Oh my god, no, he doesn't. I think that's the difference maker. It's just...
What is the Spectre he's using? The Detonate Dead build uses a handful of Spectres, depending on the progression you've made through the game, but the Spectres that Ziz was currently using were ones that you get from Heist. They're called Rusty Crusher and Auto Enforcer. They don't do anything as monsters themselves, but they are added to your Desecrate pool. And while in your Desecrate pool, they are very high health corpses, which causes bigger damage explosions from your Detonate Dead explosions. So they're not there to provide any sort of utility. Their abilities are not useful. They're just there because they're thick.
Oh, and it's a damn shame he gets a decoy totem out just like during the sequence of attacks, and I think Chimera won't break his target after he starts it, so it's just an unfortunate timing. But also didn't have cast from them taking Bone Offering either, so just missing that single defensive layer. That I'm not saying it would have saved them, but maybe, right? An extra 30 or 20 block maybe would have been enough to push him over and block both of those. But I mean, who knows? That's just a... Yeah, Frenzy Charges are scary.
Alright, on to the next. We have Evil Minds, is the name of the clip here. The Rise is in a pretty dangerous boss fight. We might get live content? No, he's okay. Move on to the next. Evil Minds is the name here with... is that a disconnect?
No.
I think that's a game crash.
And there's only two... Like, the bosses are just on the edge of his screen, too, on the top right. Yeah. And he knows. He just moves his hands. He's like, yeah, guys, okay. That's it. I'm dead for sure.
That's like, you never want to see that happen. It's so disappointing.
Well, especially like, at this point in your character's like life cycle, you're just like you're finally cruising into maps like, okay, I can finally start gearing, I can finally get like sort of the things under my belt, you know, like I've okay, finally I can get some Atlas completion, maybe I've done my trials, you know, not everyone's as fast as others, but just dying to this just is a slap in the face for all that hard work getting past the campaign and everything. My heart goes out to you, brother. That is not fun.
Yeah, it looks like it's relatively early into mapping. I think City Square shows up as like a T3 or 4 initially, so yeah, this is a character like just starting to get rolling and then getting buried immediately.
Yeah. Damn.
Okay, well, hopefully the next one is a little more forgiving than that.
Mm-hmm.
It is another rip clip. We have a lot of them, but hopefully it's, you know, not just the game crashing out. And yeah, it wasn't. It was a sub-fizz spear hit. That's a classic death.
Yeah, classic. If that is Path of Exile at its like, I don't know, maybe not most classic, but it's up there. I mean, who hasn't died to being like not off screen, but like from downtown hit by a spear, whether it's a nom or just the Legion mob or something like this. Brutal.
Mm-hmm. This is why I have skipped every single Legion on my quest to reach level 90.
Yeah.
Every single one. Legion is... Well, it depends. If you're going for a timeless jewel for your build and it's core for your build's functionality and like endgame bossing, then it can start to be worthwhile to do Legion. But even then, I'd prefer to just like try and get splinters from, I don't know, Heist or something. Legions are so crazy dangerous in Gauntlet. It's insane.
Yeah, they just pump out so much damage. And before you change the clip, I'm running this at 0.5 speed now, and he actually is hit twice, by the way. It's not actually a one-shot. He is actually hit down to 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
And again, is using MOM, so that's like a 5,000, 5,300 hit. But then
it's even got the rare mob even has a generic extra damage tag, so yeah. it's double damage scaling.
But I think actually it's like another mob that just lets like an auto attack at the exact same time because he heals back up. I think. No, okay. But it is two separate hits. I'm not sure what the second thing is that hits him, but I don't know. That's unless it's just like it's the way it's sort of rendered in game, but it shotguns on the pillar. Oh my god, is it? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So, good eyes, chat. Wizard Spike. So the projectile hits him, and then the explosion off the pillar next to him is what kills him. Oh my god, that is... Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, to be fair, like, if you're gonna die, that's like a great way to go. I mean, it's better than DCing, but wow, that's... Turns out mobs are scary. Actually, was it a crit as well?
Very possibly.
Because he was shocked.
Yeah, probably then.
Oh
it's just everything aligned exactly wrong.
So unfortunate.
If you do want to go for Legion, just do your best to break out boxes and leave the rares alone.
Mm-hmm. And this thing is, there's no reaction speed for that. Like if I played at normal speed for chat again, like you're not reacting to this. You see it from downtown, you're dead. Like.
Yep. You just hope block chance keeps you alive there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It didn't in this instance.
Block, dodge, something, but that's unavoidable essentially. Damn. Great death though. I mean, thank you for the content, my friend.
We have Arctic next. Arctic WP is the player name here. Core map boss fight. That I believe this is a T3 or 4 map version of Core. Mm-hmm. Playing some Essence Drain, it looks like.
Yeah, T3 it should be. You know, we haven't seen much Essence Drain actually.
There's them traps with the 50% crit rate.
Yeah.
Those hurt when they roll high. And then well, it's not even much of a high roll if it's a 50% chance to happen, right?
Mm-hmm. God, that's just I think he just places it before. Or is it there? See, where is that? Is that trap there the whole time? Let's see if we can spot it here, chat.
It seems like there's a hit before the flame dash and then a second trap finishes the player off. So yeah. Wait, no, is it a shotgun from off screen?
I'm going at half speed now. Let's have a look here.
Because there's actually the trap finishes them off when they flame dash onto it, to try and avoid damage. But there's actually a bigger hit before that. Yeah, it's proj from off screen.
It is. You're 100% correct. So it's the shotgunning. I mean, it's hard to see, chat. I know, but like there's these little black dots here which are nigh imperceptible. But those it's like the meat ball toss or whatever you want to call them from Malachi, and those do shotgun. So that gets him down to 500 life. Dashes away thinking, okay, I'm going to dodge the next projectile. He is shocked, chilled, everything, so it might have been a crit. Into the trap, instant dead.
Yeah, if he's shocked,
Oh
it's a crit, unless there's ailment chance on the map. We don't see the map mods.
That's,
But given the damage he took and the fact that he's shocked, it wouldn't surprise me if that was a clip.
Yeah.
Or a crit. It is a clip.
It was most definitely a clip. But I think I was mentioning before, I think this is like the first ED build, or like Chaos dot build that we've actually seen outside of like Toxic Rain, right? Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't been more dominant in the meta, but you know what? I guess people feel like they just can't get the damage output early on or maybe late game, and they just don't want us to play with it. Damn.
I feel like everyone's going to recognize this player, so I'm just going to bring him on screen. Needs no introduction.
No, he does not.
And this is Lighty fighting Uber Elder. He's gotten a few bosses down. We will have clips of those later on after we're done with our Rip Clips shenanigans. And Shaper Slam.
From downtown. Oh my lord, get dunked.
I hadn't watched this when it was live. I purposely left it till now, so I had no idea what was going to get him.
Me too.
That's just a turbocharged Shaper Slam, man.
I didn't even know it was Uber Elder. I thought he died just doing like mapping or something like that. My god. Just look at this.
I imagine, yeah, he takes a couple like little tiny hits here or there, so Wind Dancer is probably not up for that. But like even if it were, Uber Elder Slam in Gauntlet is probably not something you survive, just generally.
And chat makes
Slam hit through dodge and evasion, yeah.
And chat's right. He didn't have a dash available because he Withering stepped right before. Is that?
It does share a cooldown with Flame Dash. Yeah, it'll eat a Flame Dash cooldown.
I just want to check because he has one up now. Sorry, one at this point. Yeah, he Withering steps and loses his charge. No. It is up at the end. Never mind. But it's actually a really tough situation because the Shaper is in the top right of his screen. I'm gonna try and pause for chat here. Yeah, so he teleports to the top right, and you can see it on this frame, but he starts charging, but his map overlay on the top right hides the Shaper like charging animation, and then all you see is like the space circle, and you're dead. That's rough. It's actually hidden behind his map, like because Darky would be very aware that he's top right, but just couldn't see the animation. I guess map opacity is the true devil of the details in this situation. Oh, he did see it? Okay. He saw it. Okay. Thanks, chat. I'm sure he saw it. Okay. Again, we can't play sounds because we're unsure of DMCA issues, but that is just unfortunate. Again, probably if he doesn't have max dodge, like it's close to, so it's just, that's the case of block and dodge. Sometimes those things are gonna fail, right? You only have 75% max, so 1 in 4 of those slams are getting through, and it turns out the one that got through this time was enough to finish him off.
I imagine he does have some backup gear prepared, and obviously all of his progression on the Atlas and stuff like that is saved, so I'd be surprised if that's the last we see of Lighty, as he's probably going to be back up and running and boss capable in a matter of a day or two.
I would imagine so.
And that still leaves enough time to attempt a few more bosses and get some more points on the board.
Oh yeah, I mean, we know he's had like 3 or 4 6 links already, and like his previous bow was, granted, not as good as the one he was currently wearing, but I mean, like 90% of the way there. It was still really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a +3/6 link with dot multi like that. That is very solid. You can. It's that's probably what he planned around to begin with. As getting more than that does entail some decent RNG. We're gonna pull on Quantric here though next, as he is still earth-shattering, it looks like, at this point. So not a swap over to the Rage Vortex, and 8k life vanishes in an instant.
Mr. Wicked himself, and he's just laughing. He's like, okay. That's the end of that journey. You know what? That's actually one of the, I don't want to say the funniest deaths, but like, that's one of the most brutal deaths I've seen. It's like 8,000 projectiles on his screen.
That's Veritania for you, man. This is, we've seen this happen a couple times now. This is what got Hawk on one of his rerolls as well. Or a similar thing to this. Veritania prod spam. I don't think it was exactly these mobs.
I mean, I'm not sure about your screen, but I just paused at 5 seconds, and that's a lot of projectiles. That is, And yeah.
Educated guess, it's at least 2.
At least
possibly more.
Possibly 2. I mean, and just so chat knows, all of those like these larger explosions you see, like the sort of bubbles, all those will overlap, and I imagine each of those projectiles, not each of them can hit, but each of those pops causes a projectile, which in turn each of them can hit him. So we're talking like it might like 20,000 life might not have been enough. This is your character's going to standard. You have to restart, sir. That's what that is. Like, I mean, I could be wrong with my 20,000, but like, there's no way in hell, like, nearly any character survives that. But that's where your block and your dodge comes into play, right? It's specifically block and with life gain on block.
It's a little unlucky, the timing, because he steps into the line of sight of that pack, which causes all of the Veritania mobs to spawn and then essentially ready their first ability. Then he steps away behind a wall, so they lose aggro on him very slightly, and when he steps back, they're all readied and fired.
Yeah. I mean, it's a set of circumstances.
You can
it's
see,
unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. So when he steps like slightly around that corner, you can see them all pop into existence, but then they don't have a target because he steps back out of sight again. And so because they won't literally instantly fire as soon as they spawn, because that would be a little bullshit, but pardon my French.
No, you're right.
But if basically if it lines up exactly like that, then they will all instantly fire as soon as you turn the corner. It's something that happens with Blight sometimes, where if you build like stun towers with Blight, then the stun towers will lock down some mobs, which will then free them all up at once as soon as the stun tower duration finishes. And because they didn't spawn all at once, but they got unstunned all at once, all the mobs can fire, and then you get shotgun to death. It's the same sort of situation.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's... If he was playing a gladiator, he might live there, or or a necromancer, but...
He goes back for the map. That's what gets him. No.
Oh, no. Is that...
I mean, he might have turned that corner in a second anyway, just to go after the pack of monsters, but it was a map that he went for.
Ancient City. Brutal. Yeah. Going backwards is not... what's something you want to do. That's but he, Quantric's great sport. He's just like, okay. I guess he'll probably re-roll just for fun. Maybe not compete for the top 5, but we'll see. He does, by the way, Quantric, hell of a show, and I think at the time he was either rank 1 or rank 2 Marauder. And he has a full-time job. So there are people out there, like, look, it's obviously tough to compete sometimes with players that can do this maybe for a living, right? But there are people competing for top spots who have full-time commitments. So, I mean, he did die, so maybe not competing anymore, but he was, and that's what matters. And we love Quantric. Hopefully he can get back on the horse again, and hopefully we can see him again.
All right, let's bring on Poog, who has a wonderful name, and is playing, is this Essence Drain? Oh, gosh. Oh, no, it was a Hierophant. So, okay, that wasn't Essence Drain. Yeah, that's the Forbidden Right.
He is not happy about that, by the way. He is, yeah. Jungron saying, pretty sure most of us work full-time. Very true, yeah. Very, very, like Zai TV, Jungron. Oh my. Quantric. This, you know what? The reaction, I gotta look at this guy's reaction. He's really mad at himself. He is not happy.
Yeah, it's, I mean, at least it's not a game crash rip, right?
No. He's just walking off. He's storming off. That's it. Done with the game for today. Oh, God. I just find it very funny. It's terrible. Like, this one sort of tickled me in right in the funny bone. This.
I imagine it was like looking for a fortify. That's why he was moving in towards the boss. Yeah. But it was just timed pretty poorly. Timed with exactly when the boss was dropping a massive amount of projectiles.
For those that don't know, during this phase, essentially you want to, or at least during that attack, you want to be far away. But when she's doing this sort of toss, which does shotgun, you can stand under her and avoid most of them. So you won't be able to target under herself. So I think he thinks maybe she's starting the other phase. Yeah, actually, if you see in the first second, she's doing the toss just here on the top left. So he thinks, okay, I'm going to stand right under her and avoid this whole phase. But then she decides, get you baited. I'm going to do the underneath me sweep attack, and then, yeah, gets destroyed. So I think he's trying to outplay Veritania, but Veritania had very different ideas.
Next we have Say Bye Bye. And it's only a 13-second clip. Not. Oh no! I saw the YouTube video title, and now I'm sad.
Okay. Okay. Oh,
Yep.
come on.
Yep. That's why I was sad.
That's it. Like they don't even show it. Like it's implied. You know what though? It's kind of upsetting to me. In more ways than one. But this Gauntlet, we've seen a lot more of these rips than we did in the previous ones. I think players are playing safer. They're not going like headstrong into everything. But it's really disheartening to see that all the like players' work over days or over the last week is just sort of chalked up to get RNG'd by your internet. You know, that just feels terrible.
Yeah, Delve is like the worst possible place for it. I mean, there's no good place for it, you know.
But you're definitely
the cart's gonna keep moving. You're in the darkness. Like, even if there's no monsters there, you're probably dead.
Exactly.
Disconnected Delve.
I mean, like a 6 seconds is so long in Path of Exile. I mean, there was a point where people could complete. What was that map? People used to speedrun it a lot, but people could complete a map in like 30 seconds at one point. So. Yeah, 6 seconds is a pretty long time. Now, although those are the days of past, you know. But if it only takes you a minute or two to complete a map, 6 seconds.
Not a clip.
Oh,
live content. Tatianto is going for a hunter kill.
Oh, that was just
patiently waiting out the snakes.
Oh, apparently, actually, that was say bye bye, and he's actually in chat. Getting rank 1 sign now, no need to worry. All right, say bye bye. I'm excited to see your journey, man. And so sorry to see that rip, man. That was brutal.
I hope you avoid disconnects
in the future.
Entirely in the future. I wish you a stable connection and a good PC. And there we go. Nice and clean.
I think that's like the nicest thing you could say to somebody. I wish you stable internet and a nice PC. Like that's like a blessing from Octavian himself.
Blessed be. Blessed be.
Yeah.
In the name of the router, the graphics card, and the holy CPU.
Oh, you got me with that one. I can lie. That brought a smile to my face.
All right. On to a clip from Timmy.
Oh, Timmy. No. Come on.
Looks like a trapper build. And looks like Stygian Revenants.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, well, I ripped.
Yep. Those, I imagine maybe was distracted by something on another monitor or looking away for a brief moment, because those Revenants were pretty clearly on screen for a second there. Yeah. I'm not trying to call Timmy out here or anything. No. I would never want to do that. I'd get in trouble with chat. But those were timed basically to the last second. He stepped on them just as they went pop.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, they were. The thing is, they were pretty visible as well, like the giant red beacons.
Yeah, they were. Their visibility was improved a couple leagues ago.
Yeah, I mean, they look. You just can't be walking near those things. I mean, the thing is, you get distracted, right? Like, especially if you're playing for a little while, or you're just trying to like map fast, and you relax, right? Because you're thinking, oh, I'm cruising along. I haven't had any close calls in the last like half hour or so, and you sort of let your guard down, and then you walk into a carcass map with revenants and get bopped.
Those mobs, in answer to the question in chat, when you see the Stygian Revenants are the things that are responsible for the explosions. Mm-hmm. And those are the big spider-looking monsters that fire out lightning projectiles in little cones. So when you kill undead enemies near them, they'll resurrect the undead. And then when you kill those undead again, they'll leave behind corpse explosions. So it's a really, really delayed corpse explosion effect, because you have to kill a monster, then another monster has to resurrect the one that you killed, and then you have to kill it again, and then there's an explosion on a timer. So basically, if there's Stygian Revenants on the map, nowhere is safe, and you have to always assume there might be explosions under you, so keep looking at your feet.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, if you can try and target them first, if you just see a Revenant sort of focus fire on them, not always possible, of course.
Oh no, we lost Tatiana.
Like right now?
To a blighted.
No, it's a clip. It's a clip.
Oh, it's a clip. Okay. 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 Never mind.
Yeah, we're getting clip review.
I got baited.
Clip reviewception here. Izzy actually in chat says is asking for some help. We're gonna get back to the clips in a sec, but we'll answer your question first. If I'm scared of going too fast in the tiers of maps, what is the ideal map tier to hit level 90? You're level 85 and tier 5s are slow. My humble opinion, stay in the T5s and stuff like that. Maybe push the T6. I know it is slow, but, you know, if level 90 is your end game goal for the league, then why subject yourself to content that can kill you, right? Like more difficult content. It's better to stay at a lower level and just grind it out map after map after map. Of course, you can go in higher content, like it's gonna be faster, but you have to accept the risks and consequences of that as well, right?
Delve is also your friend.
Yes.
Delve is very, very good XP, and rather safe. Especially if you're something like Saboteur and you're shock immune for dealing with the screamers, but the layouts are consistent, the mob types are consistent. You know, if you know what to look out for and what to avoid, Delve can be pretty safe even in a Gauntlet event, and is very good.
Say bye bye has
XP.
might disagree with you there, but yeah, no. Generally, like Delve is great EXP and stuff.
Okay, it's not as safe when you disconnect. Yes,
that's fair. And for those that are wondering why someone's goal might be level 90, we do have a whole host of prizes, which I'm actually going to pop on screen quickly just so we can, so chat can be aware, that are for everybody. It's just a random drawing at the end, and it's gated by the level you achieve. There are physical prizes as well as MTX rewards, and if you reach level 90, which is the top tier reward, you're entered in all the draws, which includes a Glorious bundle, which is a GMMX keyboard, Model O, and XXL extra large mousepad, a Gauntlet CPU backplate, which I'm very jealous of, whoever wins that, and a $3,000 custom built PC, which is just insane. Hopefully then you can run mudflats on maximum quality. On top of which, Shopify Rebellion has also included some MTX rewards as well for their level 90, 80, 70, 60, and 50. Thank God we have Shopify Rebellion. They're running all these really cool prizes that are not linked to reaching rank 1 or anything like that. It is purely based on the level thresholds that anybody can win. You just have to get your character to 90, and multiple characters will enter you multiple times into this. Even if your character dies at 91, you're still eligible. Even if you die at level 90, you're still eligible. So it's very exciting that we can sort of provide these prizes for everybody. And we know it's an event, and we do like to see rewards for the rank 1, rank 2 people, but you know, that's a very small subset of players, and we really want to include everyone in these rewards and stuff. We really want an inclusive environment, and hopefully that'll push you next time, maybe get not just level 90, but maybe you'll push for the rank 5, maybe you'll push for the rank 3, and hopefully you can claim your monetary prize on top of it. So, very, very cool, guys. I'll go back to some live content. I just wanted to share that. That's why some people's goals is level 90, right? There's less than 1,000 characters that got level 90 last league. So, you know, a 0.1% chance to win a PC is pretty damn good. Usually these things are like 1 in 100,000, but 1 in 1,000? I like those odds, Octavian. I really do.
Yeah. If I look at the ladder now, the cutoff point for level 90, let me find it. Cutoff point for level 90 is 161.
Wow.
So there are currently only 161 people at level 90 or higher in the event.
So yeah, nearly a 1 in... Let's round up. 1 in 200. So a 0.5% chance. I mean, what kind of draw gives you odds like that for a $3,000 PC? Usually it's like a 1 in 100,000, or it's like, oh, you got to fill out this survey, and you don't know if it's a scam or not. This is real life, guys. This is a 1 in 200 chance so far. 1 in 167, actually. It's even better. So log on, go on the bottom right Path of Exile, join event, and get leveling. And get used to those white maps, guys. That's all I'm saying. You know, and you don't even have to alch your maps or anything like that. If your sustain is okay, just take your time to get there. And who knows, maybe you'll be the lucky winner. Just hit level 90. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. I don't want to make it sound too easy, but I have a lot of faith in you guys.
We're going to play another clip here, though. This is a bounty submission clip. I'm not sure the bounty. The Rise Canteen Quest bounty from Dead and Doom. Look. It's, what was it? Get a bunch of characters to level 80?
Correct.
Yeah. Get one character from each class to level 80 in the Gauntlet. Well, Dead and Doom did it.
Yeah. Did he? Yeah, he actually had to re-level because he died on a level 74 Berserker, so had to re-level the chieftain. That's high.
It's a little annoying.
Awesome. So look, I mean, obviously Dead and Doom is one of the best racers we've seen historically in Path of Exile, so he's done this incredibly quickly. But, you know, especially if you have gear, maybe like you die at level 50 or something, oh, but you've saved some boots or you've saved some flasks. Your next round is going to be a little bit easier, right? Just work your way up, guys. It is doable with patience and practice. I promise you.
And I think I'm out of clips in the tool, but we had some other ones to watch whenever you want to do that.
Oh, yes. We have some amazing, amazing boss kills. Just give me a second, chat, and I'll bring these over to the screen. Actually, first, we have 2 bounties brought to us by Hulu.
Okay. Which one are we watching first?
We are watching his leveling up from Awakener. So this is, I believe, a $250 prize. So yes, if he dings off the kill. Okay, so congratulations to Hulu. I thought this was gonna take longer, but that's pretty damn awesome. So this is his second Awakener fight as well, or second or third, I think.
At the very least, yeah. He got one for that at like 8+, I think, for the points, and then he got the musical Awakener kill.
The musical. Awakener the musical. All right, we do have another bounty that he's claimed. I can't remember exactly which one this is.
Upgrade all the Pantheons.
Oh, did he actually do it?
I'm assuming that's the title of the clip is Pantheons.
Yeah. Apparently, I can't read. No, yeah, awesome. So Hulu is actually on a bit of a bounty hunting spree. This man wants all the money. My God. But before we go over to live content, guys, we do have a couple of boss kills for you. I'm sure some of you have seen these, but a lot of people in chat haven't. So let's let it roll. I believe the first one is Uber at Ziri.
All right.
By the way, I'm gonna pause here. I could rewind and we can watch the whole lead up if you like, Octavian. Your choice.
Well, it's a full clip of the VOD. It's just timestamped, I think.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know. I could just rewind. That's what I mean.
No, we're good.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm at 6:55:22.
28, 29, 30. I'll pause for a couple seconds and then
just pause somewhere and I'll catch up to you.
55, 33, 31. Sorry.
Okay, I'll let it play till then, and I'll let you know. Sorry, some of the full VOD stuff we can't fit into the tool, so we've got to jury rig it. But ready whenever you are.
Perfect. Play.
Okie doke.
All right. Very exciting. So he actually does. I was watching this live yesterday, so I did spoil this for myself. But he does actually allocate arrow dancing for this phase, so it helps him avoid the spears, because obviously he's not really scared of he's not scared of the melee attacks out of Aziri. Yeah. Honestly, his whole run up was really, really smooth.
He's bringing along a worm flask as well, and I believe that the purpose of that was to get Fortify, to have a target to hit with Fortify safely, whenever he can't run up next to Aziri herself. And yeah, no, the arrow dancing makes quite a lot of sense. I don't think there is a melee attack in this fight, at all.
The only thing that does surprise me, see that before every other fight, he did actually get his rage bar up to max, just for the movement speed, attack speed, right? Just attack damage. But just doesn't do that for Uber Zero. And in the end, it didn't matter. He does get her down. Spoiler warning, guys. But yeah, it's just surprising that he didn't use every tool available to him. And a lot of people might not know this, but Darky did actually level a character, I think, from like level 95 or 92 all the way to 100, like 2-3 years ago, just doing Uber Ziri. So this is a fight. Yeah. So like he was just doing it for currency in Trade League. But he ended up like leveling to 100 by fighting Ubirdziri over and over again. So it's a fight he's very familiar with. Maybe more familiar with than like maybe anyone in the game. So yeah, this is not something that he should be too afraid of. But with the Gauntlet mods Turbo, maybe it throws off his game a little bit. Obviously the animations coming out that much faster is incredibly scary. As you can see how fast those flame blasts do expand.
And despite the rip, which we did watch, Lady's rip earlier on, Lady still has a very real chance of taking home first place in this event. You know, there's 4 days left in the event, and he's got a backup 6-link as well as other backup gear. I think he has spare cluster jewels and a spare quiver, things like that. So a lot of the battle has already been fought, so to speak, for his reroll. He just needs to go through the motions of getting through the story and getting through early mapping and not getting too overconfident and pushing into higher tiers before he's ready. And he'll probably be at a position to take on endgame bosses again in just a couple days.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think someone in chat was saying he's just looking for maybe one or two. He's looking for 1 or 2 specific cluster jewels. I think he already has. I think some bases, but maybe just rolling them or something.
Yeah. And characters that are dead, their levels will still count for points. So I believe I'm almost certain, he got 95 on the previous character, so he
Correct.
maxed out level points. He pushed over the 300, he's got those points maxed out. All he has to do now is focus on bringing down the bosses that he hasn't been able to get so far.
Actually, I believe it's. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it's all character locked. So he still has to do Uber Zero again, I think, on his new character.
I might be wrong on that. It's per character?
It is per
Okay.
character, yeah, okay.
So he'd have to redo some of these boss fights. I wasn't aware
Correct.
of that.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Dang.
So, yeah, but his other character, he can win first and second place in Ranger. So if no one else beats this
neat.
character that ripped, he can win, like, multiple times in the same class, which is kind of insane.
Delve is evidently per account.
Yeah, yeah, Delve. It would just be
That
too hard
makes
to
sense.
track, otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way to prove
Yeah.
it's per character. Yeah.
Or, I mean, even if it wasn't, you would just do 3 zones that you're already... Because you've already
Yeah.
dug that deep. Like, you can just, okay, just do 3 more zones. Not too bad, so, yeah. But, I mean, look, the one reason I'm not commenting on this is just, it looks really smooth. Like, if I didn't know this was Uber Ziri, I would think it was maybe regular Ziri, outside of maybe some of the damage coming out.
Yeah. His DPS is quite good for Gauntlet.
3 to 4 million-ish, I think.
Yeah. This is probably the highest DPS build that we've seen in the Gauntlet so far.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean it's his gear, his build, it's all just been a really solid choice. I really like it's a really undervalued step, but like the actual moves, like the movement speed slow from Toxic Rain actually brings a lot to the table in Gauntlet. Like just being able to keep mobs sort of a little bit more stationary, avoid a bit of that onslaught stuff, or the turbo I should say, just makes things feel really, really nice. Higher boss DPS than Lala Gate? Potentially.
Lala Gate might be able to push higher if things go right and the gear comes together, but as far as like damage that's actually been realized and like, you know, characters that are put together and not just theoretical top end, this is the highest DPS so far seen.
It's also very consistent, right? It's one of those things that a lot of builds, like, they might have like these moments of, oh, I can do 10 million DPS or 6 million DPS, but if you can't sustain that level of DPS for a long period of time, then is it really effectively the... you're not really doing that much DPS, right? It's more just like a tool, a POB DPS, so to speak. But we do have also the invitation here from a Darky. Sorry, I did switch over. I'll pause.
Okay.
I'll pause to let you catch up here.
Yeah, let me know the timestamp.
7:04:30. I forget sometimes that...
7:04:30?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you know what's up there.
Yeah, so his bow is really good, but it is guaranteed. If you have 7x, you can just craft that. Yeah. It's one of the wonderful benefits of playing either Caustic Arrow or Toxic Rain. You can't actually guarantee like an insane bow.
Yeah, I don't know whether he has the exalts to recraft that particular bow, but he does have his previous bow, which was +3 on a good attack speed base with dot multi.
Yeah.
So even if he doesn't have them, he will, because I was mistaken earlier, he will need to regrind to level 95, and maybe he'll be able to grind up some of those exalts in something like Heist, which is fairly good for targeting those. In the meanwhile, to try and make the better bow, or maybe he'll just have to take on bosses with a bit less powerful of a bow. But 3 million DPS is still probably something he could reach, and enough for Gauntlet bosses if you're very good.
Are you at 7:04:30?
Yes, ready when you are.
3, 2, 1, play. So 95 is the... Hey, Outlook, but 95 is the level cap for points. So if you get 1 point per level up to 95. So before you undertake all the bossing, it's nice to... First of all, it's also just character power. But it is also just capping your points for the leveling progression and then doing the bosses on top. Is the reason why level 95, in particular for Gauntlet, is sort of this threshold. Yeah.
And the Wormflask tech again here to get the Fortify in a few seconds once he decides to start the fight. Just making up his mind as to which boss he wants to target down first. Hydra is probably...
Yeah.
Like the one that scales hardest off Gauntlet mods. So if you can, I'd imagine you'd want to slaughter Hydra first. But sometimes Maven just doesn't give you the option.
Yeah, I mean, like Hydra in Gauntlet, it takes up so much... There's so much area control brought to the table by Hydra, right? So if you can take her off the table, then like suddenly your arena gets a lot cleaner.
And he's going to go for the rage stacking, like you mentioned earlier. For those of you who don't know exactly what's happening here, Chain Hook is an ability that when it hits an enemy will give you a point of rage, and Hydrosphere, for the purposes of generating rage, counts as an enemy. So you can hit your Hydrosphere to gain rage with Chain Hook, and you can also hit the Hydrosphere with Frenzy to gain Frenzy charges, which is another thing he did there. So he's prepping as many buffs as possible before this fight.
Like, the thing is, like, why not, right? And it's a very significant buff as well. It's more, it's increased attack speed, increased move speed, and that's just survivability, right? If you can get these bosses down even just that little bit faster, why wouldn't you, right?
And it might even allow you to use Berserk right at the start of the fight for some extra buff, some extra burst. I'm not sure if Lighty was doing that, but it is an option. And there's a Hydra spawned first. That is ideal. That's what you want to see.
Exactly.
Because you want to be able to bring down Hydra before the arena potentially becomes full of 4 different Guardians at once. But we'll see whether he has the DPS to accomplish that.
I believe he was using Berserk because the second the fight popped, he didn't keep his rage level. It just started dipping really fast. So he definitely was trying to just burst down one of the bosses. We do see like a Hydra just doing a lot of projectiles. A lot of those things will shotgun. Hopefully you can keep it down. And Minotaur in and of itself really scary, but with the lack of AoE modifier this time around, not as bad. Does log. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't get Hydra down before the second round of spawns, and that's going to make the fight way, way harder. Not really a dig at his play or anything. It's just with Gauntlet mods, it is very difficult to accomplish that. You need quite a lot of DPS.
I mean, the 40% more life is just... It's huge. Like, it's so big. Especially because you can't... I don't know, like... Especially in 3.1.5, where all the... Like, your damage is being nerfed as well, on top of a 40% more life. Like, these bosses are just thick as anything.
He is fortunate, at least, that Maven doesn't seem to be healing the bosses. As he wouldn't have any way to cut that healing. And it would make the fight much nastier.
It is actually quite nice that he did do this invitation before before he ripped. Because so he at least has 2 points in the Uncharted Realm nowadays. So
true, yeah, that's something. A permanent bonus.
It's something, right? I mean,
I think he's waiting for the Hydra clone to time out.
Yeah. At 6 seconds there, just proxies Fortify immediately. Once that buff up the entire time. 20% mitigation is just too damn good to give up. Yeah.
And for those of you wondering how he's getting the Fortify, he weapon swaps over to a one-handed shield and uses Vigilant Strike, which gives quite a long duration Fortify if you give it Fortify support as well.
And as a log, yep. Again, like we mentioned it before, but you have 6 portals. You should use them, right? I mean, like once you get down to the last 2, maybe you have to be a bit more cautious. But if you're in a situation where you feel really unsafe, you have a 60-second grace period. You can sort of let the arena sort of clear itself just a little bit. Sure, you have to be aware of the Maven buffs, but I don't know. If you can sort of just clear the area a little bit, regroup, it's probably for your benefit.
Maybe waiting to see which one Maven is twinning, because she is doing that as her other mechanic. Maven will pick a handful of different mechanics that she's going to do for the fight and not vary from them. So if she's healing and dropping vines and twinning, then that's all she's going to do. She's not going to use her other abilities like the degen.
Yeah.
So you can be assured of which one she's going to do, and she's not going to RNG into something if you know what she's been up to.
I think it's really incredibly impressive that he's able to sort of just still target down Hydra. It can be very disorienting, just having to run around in a circle like this, and all these bosses, all these mechanics happen at once. But he's really aware of which boss he wants to get down. Really keep tracking of her in that.
It's
really good.
It's one of the benefits of focused ballista.
Yeah.
But the issue here with the ballistas is just all the spam in the arena. A lot of his damage is being cut out from under him because he's not able to keep the ballistas down consistently.
The second he gets Hydra down, it's going to be a huge boon. Does swap out of damage on full life as well, which I think is...
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
the spam in the arena, he's not going to be on full life all that often in here.
Yeah, I mean, really, I honestly think he shouldn't have had that in the first place, but it is just a huge damage multiplier, especially nowadays that all the supports have been kind of gutted a little bit.
I imagine the hope was to try and burn through the first spawn before the next round started, using the bigger multiplier from damage on full life, because with only 2 Guardians in the arena, it's a much more reliable support gem.
Yeah, agreed. It's just right now things are getting a little overwhelming. Like the second Minotaur starts the rock slide, and then you also have Hydra popping out like a million projectiles at once, and then you got tornadoes from Phoenix. Yeah, you're gonna get hit by something, either a degen or a hit or just even just getting tickled, right? But if you're not at that full life, forget about it.
And this is certainly the fight that seems to be giving him the most
my
problems.
god! Okay.
Woof.
I think that wasn't single digits, but it was a few hundred life at most.
Damn, that was nasty. I don't have like in-depth commentary there. That was nasty.
The thing is though that like Fortify saves him there. Like he is 100% dead if he doesn't have the Fortify buff up.
I wonder if he was low enough that Ward saved him. Probably didn't go quite that low.
No, but it is close though. It's a few hundred, so yeah. That's whew. Actually with the Ward and the ES, like it might have been a luck. I mean, he would have lived, but it's close. It's damn close.
Down to his last couple portals here.
Yeah, so Darky did rip subsequent to this fight in the Uber Elder fight. Yeah.
We still want to get the bossing content to you, though, because, I mean, I hope you guys agree, but this is pretty darn fun to watch.
Pretty awesome, yep. And we can see Hydra is like at that sort of Culling threshold. Not that he is Cull equipped, or I don't think he does, but the second that boss goes under, it's going to be significantly easier. Hydra being just an absolute nightmare with the Gauntlet mods. LMP just makes her an insane boss fight.
The clone should have timed out by now. Yep, there you go. He's going to move. He's just waiting for that second Hydra to go away.
Is affected by the Phoenix debuff, but hopefully can outlast it here. It's okay.
Yeah, I think Hydra is gone. I think he took care of her. So the most dangerous threat is gone, but this is certainly not a cakewalk from here, as both Minotaur and Phoenix have plenty of arena spam of their own, especially with Phoenix getting twinned like that. And I think that was either a bleed or a maim debuff on him from the Chimera. Chimera is probably the one that's easiest to just outrange with this build, but can land some nasty bleeds if you're not careful.
I mean, they're doing really well using the Minotaur minions to actually proc his Fortify, and when he can't do that, using his Writhing Jar Flask, which is why he was so excited that he got that yesterday. Yeah, just doing really, really well. I'm not sure what Pantheons he's using, but he seems to have a lot of uptime on those Life Flasks. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Rislatha.
Yeah, possibly. There's one of the nice things about this fight, as opposed to the Twisted fight, is that there's a lot more minion spam from the enemies, so you do have much better Flask sustain, because both Minotaur and Hydra will spawn a bunch of little adds. Phoenix, even as well, I think, does bring some of his adds into the fight. But I'm not seeing them here, so I might be mistaken on that. But you, at the very least, will get the Mirage people from the Hydra fight and the Golems from the Minotaur fight.
Just two bosses left now. Just goes out, needed his flasks back up. Makes a lot of sense, right? You don't want to be down without the ability to proc Fortify whenever you want. This is his last portal, though. So this fight, even with this insane gear, this incredibly strong character, 3.15 is rough, guys. I'm not sure you heard the news, but it's not easy what this guy's doing.
He's down to the wire on the last portal, but the main threats are gone. If there's any two Guardians that are like the easiest to kite out, it'll be these two.
Correct.
That said, there's still plenty of arena spam. If there's any build that can survive the amount of arena spam being thrown out by these bosses, though, it's going to be like a max spell dodge raider, which I think Lady was very close to max spell dodge, if not there.
I mean, the Ajiri steps just gets him like that much closer, right? 15 off the Ascendancy, 15 from the boots, or 16, and then 30 from, so that's like 60-ish, right? Probably with a bit more from other pieces of gear, but yeah, it just like spell dodge or spell block just feels so damn good in these fights when you just get hit so often. Like, you need sustain.
Evidently, he had a second invite, so even if he broke this, he would have had another attempt. But I imagine you don't want to go through the awful experience of bringing down the Hydra again. I mean, I think just taking Hydra out of the equation alone burned through 4 of Lighty's portals.
Yeah. 100%. And thank God it was the first boss that popped up. It was one of the later ones. He wouldn't have been able to get off that Berserk tech that he used in the beginning to chunk off maybe a quarter of its life. We're going to talk about strategies just after this chat, but for now we just want to marvel in the insane skill that is Lighty.
Only Minotaur left.
Now this should be
This
a bit
should
of a
be easy.
cakewalk, yeah. I mean, Minotaur, it's obviously not an easy boss fight, but when he's not in the arena with all the lightning slows and everything, is a lot easier compared to his normal self.
Yeah. And pretty much everything Minotaur does is an attack, and, well, Raider has blind and max evasion and very good attack dodge, so I'm just not even going to get touched.
Awesome.
And there you go.
Done. There are a ton of questions in chat, which we I guess we can answer now. I'll just rewind the fight a bit and we can talk about it. People are asking where Ziz is. Ziz is, don't worry, Ziz is still here. He's still racing. He did die yesterday. We saw his rip earlier. And he usually is, he's usually live on this channel immediately after us. Today, though, he's going to have a little bit of a break. He will be on later, but not directly after this cast. Darky as well. There's a question about... Where is it? About the ward. So in his case specifically, it's just a well-rolled helmet. The actual base was irrelevant. It could have been evasion, it could have been an ES base or an armor base, but it just happened to roll on a ward base. I think for the most part, if you see ward on any character in the top ranks, that'll be the case. Ward is not an easy mechanic to get going, especially in an SSF environment, right? It is powerful if you get all the pieces, but until that point, it's just probably not worthwhile investing a ton of time or effort into it.
Do we have another clip we want to bring up?
There is indeed. I think
the Steel Mage one?
It is indeed. So
all right, let me know the timestamp you're at, and I'll meet you there.
1704.
Okay, I am there. Ready when you are.
3, 2, 1, play. Awesome. Oh, is there any other questions? Please let us know. He always wants one weird item on Raider. Fair enough.
And this is an iolite 83 Mastermind's Lair with the Mastermind right there.
And she
ready
can,
and waiting.
She can be pretty spooky. I mean, maybe not in her first phase, but later on she can output a crazy amount of damage, as we saw last time against Karn. I think it was like an 8,000 or 8,500 damage hit in the last gauntlet that took Karn out of the running. So do not sleep on this boss. I know maybe it's a fight that you're unfamiliar with. There's a lot of lack of visual clarity in this fight as well. But hopefully Octavian and I can guide you through it, and with Steel Mage's help as sort of like a test subject for this.
And, well, he got the glove enchant. I have good news. He got the glove enchant when he was spamming Merc Lab yesterday for it. So I don't think we'll see any more lab from Steel. He was yesterday's resident lab runner for a while.
I mean, you know what though? Again, I like it. I just don't like how long he spent getting it, right? No. You wish they had her wings as an MTX? So do I, brother. So do I.
I want the big skull chomp ability as an MTX, or just a new ability.
Yeah.
Like some unique, where it's like a unique version of her staff and gives it a special ability where you can summon the big skull to chomp things on like a 3-second cooldown or whatever. Cool.
Like a mega, like SRS, just one giant boy.
Yes, Blood Rage works on left mouse button.
Yes, it does, yeah. And any instant skill will work on left mouse button, which is why war cries work on left click if you take the node in the bottom left with call to arms script.
You can also put a banner on left mouse button, and it will not place the banner unless you hold shift.
Oh, the more you know.
And it'll just let you walk around as normal if you're not holding shift. So you can essentially rebind shift to be place banner button.
So you really want to be wary of her flicker strike ability and the skulls she can put on the ground. She hasn't used either of them yet, but we will point them out to you when we can. Just trying to get this boss down and then probably move on to the next stage of the fight.
Yep, the skulls is the super duper dangerous one in Gauntlet, as it is a proj attack technically, or a proj spell. It's a proj ability, which means it'll get multiplied, just like everything.
Yeah, and with multiplication comes a whole lot of that incoming damage, which you hopefully can avoid. Okay, all right, Steel, show me something. Looking really good, keeping all the debuffs up, the blind, the maim. Obviously keeping the chill effect on as well, so to keep even more damage. And obviously stacking his Crimson Dance to 8, just that's why he's auto-attacking over and over and over again.
The DPS here is certainly solid enough for the fight. As I don't think you are listening to sound, but I'm listening to sound just to hear if he has anything to say, since I don't have to worry about DMCA. I'm broadcasting my side.
Fair enough.
That's the skulls, by the way,
Yes.
that just got spammed out. So what Katarina will do, I forget the voice line. I think it's like "Rise, my children" or something like that. Anyway, she stands still and channels a bunch of spears into the ground, and those spears have skulls on the tip of them. If you leave those stuck in the ground for a few seconds, they will pop and then summon little skeletons, and those skeletons will crawl towards you, and when they touch you, they explode. In order to destroy them, you have to step on them before they pop. Okay. And you have to step on the skulls in the ground before they pop. If they get to the point where they're crawling around as skeletons, that's when they're going to kill you.
Yeah. In which case you run very quickly in the opposite direction.
Unless there's like... If you missed just like 1 or 2 and you're not playing a build that's like very squishy, you can usually face tank 1. So I find it's best to purposely pop it before you get to a phase where you have to deal with multiple things at once. But yeah, there's another summoning of the skulls.
And the area on which you can step on them is pretty generous. As long as you're sort of close to them, they will pop. And there's I will say, I mean, for a fight that lacks a lot of visual clarity, that actually is one ability where it's pretty clear when they have detonated, or when you have detonated them, is what I mean, or deactivated them. Can they be blocked? I imagine they can with spell block. But
yes,
it's still, I mean, why risk it if you're going to have 30 or 40 of those things going through? Even at 75 block, that would mean at like 10 of them, if you're averaging perfectly, you're going to get through, and that might be enough to kill you anyway.
I mean, like 3 is enough to kill you.
Yeah,
they hurt.
Exactly.
They really hurt. The fight really doesn't want you to let them crawl around. The idea is you need to pop them before they start crawling. Which I don't think is like a terrible mechanic. I just wish they were a little more visible.
Yeah.
There's the teleport slam, but he purposely sits still during that and just tanks 1 teleport out of the slam. And he did block it there as well.
Logs, great decision. Those waves that come out of the main totem do a ton of damage and just doesn't want to deal with it. Luckily doesn't have any sort of timing issues with his DC, and just is able to get out of there real quick. We also had a message from Oddlog. He just killed the Act 3 boss. So claps for Oddlog. Awesome, dude. You're back into Act 4, my man. So, okay. So this boss fight, I know like everything's like green on teal on like white. It's all like very similar colors, which is annoying. But I gotta say, it's actually a really good looking fight. Look, if you take away like the gameplay aspect of it, I think they did the artist did an amazing job. It's just a shame that some of the clarity can't come through.
I'll agree with you. And there's always that like push-pull between artistic vision and clarity in the game.
But I do agree. It is a very tough fight to sort of... Oh yeah, get out. Get out!
Yeah, very unfortunate timing. With summoning the skulls on top of the climax spear, or whatever you'd call it, where it causes a big, massive degen around the spear that she chunks into the ground. So when she throws a massive spear into the ground, that'll sit there and deal a degen. When she throws the little tiny spears all over the place, those are the skulls that'll explode, which I think he's going to have to deal with skeletons now. Yeah.
Well, at least we can show chat what they look like. See those little guys? I mean, really hard to see.
Yeah, I was about to say, no, you don't see them. They're on top of the degen.
Oh, you can see little dots.
They're the same color as the degen they're on top of.
You know, maybe just have like a little red outline of these things. Like leave like the actual integrity of like the green and everything, but just
or make them flash like a little silvery gray color.
Yeah, like just something, right? Oof.
So see those tiny little flashing lights that he just hovered over. He's hovering over one right now.
Yeah.
Those tiny little flashing lights. Those are the skulls of the skeletons. When he moves, they'll start crawling towards him. And he's going to have to probably just kite those out for the rest of the fight. It wouldn't be safe to sit and tank them. Yeah. They are very slow.
That is, pretty brutal. But I think he's entering the final phase here, so hopefully he can manage to pull this through and doesn't have to
there's a couple. You can see them crawling up in the middle of the arena. They might time out by themselves. Top right from where he's standing right now.
Yeah. Especially the things when they flash, like you can see them when they're bright, but the second they go like low, they're nigh invisible. Those things.
He timed them out. Yeah.
Essentially, every 2 seconds they're nearly invisible. Exactly, Regino. Exactly.
So not the cleanest fight so far, but he is on to the final phase here.
And he's still got 3 portals left, so it does have a
lot. Steel, buddy. If you stay right up on top of her when she does the sort of shorter distance swipe, a lot of her abilities are also really similar to each other in terms of animation, which not only makes it difficult to cast, but can also make it difficult to understand what's going on. Like the big Kulamok slam that leaves behind the degen, pretty much the same slam animation as the teleporting slam that can one-tap you with hit, you know? And we already mentioned how there's multiple things that leave spears in the ground, like...
Awesome. Alright, well, I'm excited to see if he uses any of the Betrayal stuff, but awesome to see Steel. I think this is his first boss kill, so he has some extra points on the board. Oh, gets the flask, okay. Oh, well, Gilded Harbinger Scarab, but Gilded Blight actually could be pretty important, right? Could get a lot of currency from those things. Whew.
He's talking about that point earlier where we had to log, where the spear degen was on top of all the skulls.
Yeah, because you can just instant rip from that stuff. Like it's
it was really unfortunate the sequence of abilities that she chose to use all on top of each other like that. It's going for a 30 quality shield though.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. A lot like for those that don't know, obviously quality on your shield will increase the value of it, whether it's evasion, ES, or armor. But for him, armor is just straight damage. So definitely wants to get that armor as high as he can. Yeah. Sacrifice the dog.
He's a little annoyed about the fight.
Yeah, he's not happy.
He's still talking about where those skulls were.
Like, you know what? Compared to the grin he's had on his face for the last like 72 hours, maybe. I'm not. Hopefully he's not too mad, but
I mean, I'd be annoyed too. Katarina was really screwing him with the sequence there.
I could have one-shot him, right? I mean, it could have been really, really bad. Yeah. Ooh, are we gonna see Nagamhu's flame axe totem? You know. But one of my favorite items in the game, by the way. I know it's not like in favor right now. It's not like the damage just isn't there right now, but it is so much fun to just meatball spin everywhere.
I mean, it's an enjoyable enough build. Yeah, it's just I don't know about gauntlet viability, but I'll give you that it's fun. Yeah. Meatballs are pretty fun.
Yeah.
Do we want to head back to live?
Yeah.
Do we have another clip?
Oh no, that is the rest of it. So I will go back to the main stream for us, and I'll pop us on in the bottom right. Chat has has a view. They can actually see who's speaking to them. BigSil and Octavian. But yeah, I'm really happy that people are starting the boss. One more fresh. Oh my, we actually have another that just happened. Thank you so much, Mr.
Okay. Let me know where to meet you in the timestamp.
And it's another.
Oh, it starts at 0. Cool.
Yeah, it's another Katarina actually. So I'm gonna pause immediately and then switch us over to see it.
Count me down from 3 and let me know.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play. Actually, only has 5 portals left, so it might have logged during the first after the first phase. Maybe just got some flasks back, or just didn't feel comfortable.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Maybe got. Oh no, that was the previous safe house to generate the. Okay. Yeah. This is the player who had the headhunter. Probably not going to be using it during this fight, but this is the gladiator that had the headhunter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be very surprised if he had it equipped. Mind you, it is more damage against rare and unique mobs, but I don't think that's probably worth it.
I think it's just rares.
Oh, it is just rares? Okay.
Yeah.
Unless he needs the stats, but that would be pretty terrifying. He actually gets chunked down to about 5,000 immediately, able to sustain back up, not a problem. Keeping his flasks not back up. I'm not a big fan of the basalt flask anymore. It just feels like it doesn't have the uptime you really need, especially in a boss fight like this. But is managing to sort of keep this fight fairly under control. Damage seems a little bit lower than steel, but not too much of a problem.
There's something so unnatural about doing a boss fight without having health bars on enemies.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels wrong to me.
I mean, you're making your life harder for no reason, right?
I don't know if it's practically that much harder. It's weird. I'm confused. The game looks wrong. Where enemy health?
It definitely throws me out of my comfort zone. I've just been like, I think that was one of the first options I turned on when I started playing Path of Exile like 6 years ago. Haven't changed since. Like that's mandatory for me. I want to know where I stand against rares, against bosses and stuff like that.
We don't know how he got the headhunter because this is the first footage we've seen of this character. This player has not been streaming their gameplay at all. did record this boss kill because in order to have proof of the boss kill, in order to get points for the gauntlet, you do have to record things. But other than recording boss kills for points, you don't have to stream or record any of your gameplay to participate in the gauntlet. We just do need proof of boss kills.
I know his gear is insane, but I still don't like missing alterations. I like picking up all the alterations. That was always one currency I always run low on. No matter what point in the league, I'm always running low on alterations. So, but hey, that's just me nitpicky. I don't know, man. I'm a little bit jelly of the headhunter, if you can't tell. But
and in answer to the question who this player is, it's Samaril Hajid. I think I'm saying the name correctly.
Yeah.
Gladiator who was rank 4 on the ladder at one point. Doing very well on the ladder overall, and this is the first boss kill footage I've seen from them.
Yeah. I think this is going to be, over the next, 24, 48 hours, and we said it yesterday, we're going to start seeing a lot of players start their bossing, right? The second Lighty sort of started triggering them. I mean, granted, he has died, but players okay, now, the race is on now. We're done prepping, time to go.
And this is an I-83 Mastermind.
Correct. For this fight to count towards points, it does have to be eye level 83, or area level 83.
Or higher, if you want.
Or higher. But
you'd have to use, a unique watchstone in order to do that? That'd be a neat bounty in eye level 85 Katarina fight. It's very dangerous. You'd think it's just 2 more levels, but the scaling on levels in Path of Exile is not linear for zone levels.
No.
I-85 Katarina has so much health comparatively.
Yeah. And just so chat knows, you can only actually crush the skulls after they do that initial flash. You can't just run around immediately. There is a slight delay on them. But able to take them all down and just progress with the fight, keeping all the sort of generals down. Usually the generals aren't really that difficult. It's really Katarina herself that poses the main problem in this fight.
How do you manipulate the level of the hideout? You'd have to use unique watchstones to run maps that are above eye level 83, and you'd have to run Jin missions in those maps, and you'd have to run enough of them to generate the intel to make an I-85 or I-84 Katarina. It would be very difficult to do in solo self-found.
Okay, gets choked down to about 2,000 with a big old swipe from Katarina. See that when
not logging here. That doesn't have any life flash charges left and is not logging. That is a bold move.
You know, when your block fails, sometimes those big damage one-shots can come through, and if that was a crit, I mean, that might have been it.
There's the climax spear throw that we were talking about earlier. That's the one that leaves D-Gen on the ground. That was very poorly placed for Steel in his fight, but Katarina's not being so mean here, as she's going to place a field of skulls away from the D-Gen instead of on top of it.
Yeah. I mean, now you got me thinking about a super SRS, dude. Every time I see that big skull, I want it. I want it so bad. Just it's sort of like a chain chomp type thing, you know? Just
there are a couple of crawly skeletons. You can see them flashing in the middle of the arena there. They will time out eventually, but they do take a while. And if you touch one, you can get chunked for half of your health, I'd imagine, on a build like this.
Yeah, 3,000 to 4,000 a pop. Easy.
They hit harder than map volatiles.
Yeah, it's just insanity. But the whole idea is that you can prevent them from spawning, right? So they're trying to make you actually interact with the actual arena, which is I think really cool. But just again, the visual clarity just isn't there for me.
And honestly, props for not logging out on either of the times when the life flask was empty. Yeah. Keeping their cool and getting those charges back, because every time you face Katarina, you will get basically a full fresh flask restart. Does log on the teleport slam.
Yeah.
The mistake made there, and it was an easy mistake to make because she started teleporting slam as he was shield charging, I think. If you dodge too early in that, she'll follow you with it, and every time she follows you, and she can follow you 4 times if you dash a bunch, the slam AoE gets bigger and the damage gets higher. So it's really punishing on misplays. I don't even know if I would call that much of a misplay, though. It was just unlucky that she decided to start that ability as he was using a move skill.
Yeah. And the thing is, just why... Oh, God, go down to about 3,000 again. Why
no life flask charges again? Not logging.
I actually... Okay, I'm going to talk about his flasks after the fight, but I don't agree with some of these choices. But for now, just keeping the boss under control. Again, his block coming through, you see a lot of those skeleton boys. If he cannot let those get to him. If he does, that's game over.
Yeah, they have a pretty big AoE too, so he's got to give them quite a good distance. The AoE and the explosion rather is pretty big.
Yeah.
But he's got his flash charges back now. Did manage to get Katarina to the next ad phase. Vegan is pretty easy. And I think this is the final phase of the fight.
Seems so, yeah.
We'll see if he gets unlucky with another quick Katarina slam.
You have to avoid the totem slashes. They do so much damage. And that's why you saw it steal log out of it, but the second that he saw it, like, that he was going to be hit by it, right? Those do not be in the range of that.
He's basically taking the full final phase with no life flasks.
Yes.
This is...
He's also running Enfeeble, like, I think, cast him down.
There's a teleport slam. He's going to log it.
Yeah. He's not running...
And it happened, like, as he was shield charging.
He's not Vulning her up, which I'm not saying Enfeeble is a bad decision, but I just feel like the damage from Vuln might have just, like, she might be dead already. Like, an extra 10, 15... Well, maybe not. She's at half-life. Never mind. But, I guess that's my soft core, Andy. Bleeding through, just more damage all the time.
Katarina's not been kind to him in this fight. Choosing to teleport slam, basically, every time he shield charges, he logs again. I think he expected a teleport slam there, because the animation looks really similar to some of her other abilities. She wasn't actually going for it that time.
Yeah.
But
it's so I mean, safe. The thing is, like, as you said, with those flicker strikes, they do stack. So if she flickers once, twice, three, like, it's exponential increases to both the area and the damage. Like, and I know last league we saw Karn die to it, but it was the increased area mod, but it was the entire screen she hit. So
yeah, I remember.
So it's very possible for it to hit in this gauntlet at least half the screen with that flicker. Able to take her down. Congratulations, Hajid. You just that's one boss down. You only got a couple more to go, my friend. Good luck. And now I'm actually gonna pause here. And I guess I'll just rewind the fight and I can talk about some of these flash choices. Okay. So I think if you're mapping, I think Basalt, fine choice, good option. But in a fight like Mastermind, where it's only going to be up maybe twice during the whole fight, and really only get one use out of it, and then you have to continue hitting the boss to get the second, and then it's probably going to be out for a long while. I would much prefer to see a second life flask.
We can't show you the loot, chat, because it wasn't part of the video the player sent us.
Yeah, sadly.
We would show you the loot if we could. It was not sent to us. We don't know.
The Quicksilver as well. I mean, although, like, I guess nice to just move around and to help avoid, but yeah, actually, you know what? The Quicksilver, I guess it helps you pop the skulls when she does use that ability, so that's fine. But again, even the Onslaught Flask, maybe it's just me, but I'm not a big fan of these flasks anymore that require you to that they only have like one use out of for the majority of a boss fight, and doesn't even pop the Quicksilver to pop these skulls. So I'm not sure why that's even on his bar then.
A second life flask would have been a pretty massive boon with how frequently he was running dry on the first one.
Yeah, I even doubling up your flasks if you feel like Granite Flask is like a huge chunk of your mitigation, which I don't believe it would be. But you could run two of them and then like a Quicksilver to run over the skulls. It's an very important form of mitigation, even after the nerfs to flasks and the changes. And I'm not sure I agree with all of them. Even like an Overflowing Chalice, maybe running Rislathas as well. So you probably like essentially permanent life flask the entire time. I mean, who am I to say? But not the choices I would have gone with. Didn't matter in the end. Was able to get her down, but hopefully coming into these next boss fights, has a look at his flasks and can make some tweaks that will make his life a bit easier. But I will return us to the mainstream. Hey everybody.
Howdy.
Oh yes, that was the Headhunter guy. Just so you're aware, that was.
Did have a Elder Rustic Sash for that fight, not the Headhunter on.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm glad to see it. Like, imagine just banking on. Hopefully, there's some rare mobs in the zone before I can carry it with me into the fight. Like this can be an easy clap. Like no, that would have been bold, very very bold.
As far as what we've got live, Carve is still blasting with that Trickster Cold Dot build. Has broken the 9,000 energy shield barrier. He had just broken 8,000 yesterday, so that is quite an improvement. I don't know if 10k is in his future. 9k might be the limit, but that's more than enough. Rise is on a reroll, still pushing the Marauder ladder, but going for something somehow even spicier than War Chief totems, in the form of a Fizz Trapper Chieftain, presumably converted over to fire, and is handling white maps perfectly fine, it seems.
Someone was telling me the other day that he was like theory crafting this build like obviously pre-Gauntlet. I actually haven't seen the POB or anything like that, but I mean, it's interesting to say the least. I'm a big fan of Chieftain in general. I think the sustain it brings to the table, all the sort of utility, it just feels amazing. But I'm not sure how it compares to like the utility that something like Saboteur brings, especially for like the trap playstyle. Obviously, that is like the generic trapper. And I'm excited to see how we progress with it. It's still early days, but it could be a really interesting like meta shakeup, like exsanguinate fire conversion traps. If that's like gonna win the Marauder ladder, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like that.
I would too. I think. I don't know. And watching the gameplay, it looks like speed is the biggest issue that Chieftain is going to face, as you don't get anything in the way of throw speed out of the Ascendancy, and you're not in the area of the tree where you can easily pick up a ton of it.
Yeah.
You can pick some up on gear. Essences of Zeal will be a precious resource for rolling belts with.
Definitely.
And you can unveil trap throwing speed as a weapon craft. You can't get it on a helmet, though. Mine throwing speed is the only thing that can show up on a helmet, I think.
Does log as well. He just gets chunked by that boss, by the Metamorph, and just says, you know what, I'm not doing it. Forget it. It's not worth the catalyst. Just get me out of here. Oh, no, he's going back in, actually. Never mind. Going back in for the long sort of like walk of shame all the way back to the boss. That is actually one of the worst feelings in Waterways. And weirdly enough, it's a map I always find that like I die to in softcore. I always underestimate this boss. And this walk just feels so long. Like, whew, brutal. But hopefully there's a couple more mobs in here. Oh, sorry, please.
Just to finish the roundup of who we've got on screen here, in the bottom left is Tatientel, who we've seen playing Glacial Cascade Totems. And I imagine we're going to see a handful of Templars over the next few days, because it's been the most underrepresented class up until now, which makes it a target for people who maybe ripped in the last couple days and want something that they could reroll into to try and push a ladder that doesn't have a ton of competition.
Well, we've seen Ziz, sadly he did rip you last night, but he has rerolled Templar as well, seen as sort of his best option to win first place in a class overall. Which is surprising, because going into the Gauntlet, everyone's talking about how insane Forbidden Right totems are. Like, you know, GGG's already commented, hey guys, it's a little out of tune from what we want it to be. Like, that is something we are nerfing next league. We'll see how they manage to do that, but everyone was hyping up this build and this playstyle, and it's like, nah, as it turns out, it's not as easy to get off the ground as some of these other options early on in a league. And totems suffer from survivability issues when you're sacrificing their health. So in a Gauntlet where everything's doing more damage, totems can be a tough start.
It's I think Havoc was the player that we saw attempt it, and was going for the first Templar Zeri kill when he got slaughtered by some ball lightnings.
Man with hat saying it is also really lacking defenses. Agreed. Like, you know, MOM is a wonderful defensive layer, but it is just like raw life pool. And if you can't really reduce the actual amount of damage coming in, some of these endgame boss fights, some of these hits can do like 10,000 damage, right? Like raw, like if you only have like 75 res and then just life, you're gonna be one shot or close to. So you need ways to sort of mitigate that. Maybe with a weapon swap with Fortify and Writhing Jar. Maybe with you know, using Frost Shield and increased area so you have some room to move in. There's some different options available to us, but yeah, it's just gonna take a little bit longer to get going.
You know what I am really surprised to see, though, is that Tatientel doesn't currently have 4 endurance charges. It's it feels to me like a mandatory node to go for the minimum endurance charges in Gauntlet on a Hierophant, but has opted for other things. I don't know. I don't have the profile in front of me. I can look it up.
You know, let's go to I'm gonna pop it on top of Carve's face here just for a quick second, and we can actually have a look together. At Tentia. I'm not sure where he is on the ladder, but should be fairly high
I have his
up.
profile here.
Oh, do you? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so it's gone for Sanctuary of Thought and Ritual of Awakening. So the full points into the Mind Over Matter nodes and the full points into the Totem nodes. Going for Energy Shield Scaling and AoE from Sanctuary of Thought, then. Yeah. I don't know that I agree with that over the physical mitigation, because as you just mentioned earlier, like, the thing that Hierophant does well already is getting a big old bundle of raw HP.
Yeah.
And you can still get the extra Mind Over Matter effect for just 2 points, as well as the damage scaling from it.
Yeah.
And then pick up some Fizz mitigation, which you pretty desperately need. But hasn't died.
So, I mean, it's working for him.
So, yeah, it's working so far.
The thing is, I mean, look, the less mana cost, well, it's nice, but it's not really mandatory because your mana pool is going to be huge. And the ES, although great, if you don't have a great way to sustain your ES, especially considering you're not going to be leeching ES because you're using totems, I'm not sure I like it. I really kind of like having 4 endurance charges, and honestly, the power charge, like, for a free, 160 crit is just pretty insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking over the build, and I don't see fizz mitigation. It's not just like there aren't the endurance charges. Fortify, I guess, and a little bit of armor scaling, but not really much.
I mean, but I'm not really seeing his fortify up much, like, at all. Like, if it is through a weapon swap or what, but or maybe it's maybe I'm missing something. It's just, look, it's working for him, but I think if he starts pushing into these sort of like red maps, he's in like an area level 73, 75 zone, I think he's gonna really feel kind of squishy.
Actually, yeah, it doesn't have a fortify setup. So he's playing extremely safe and slow, and I feel like that's what's kept him alive. If ever a point comes where he's got mobs that he can't keep off of him, he's going to have a very difficult time dealing with their damage.
Actually, and look, the Glacial Cascade, look, it does freeze mobs, which is a huge mitigation. If mobs can't do anything, they can't really hit you, right? But that's not going to be the case with some of these endgame bosses if he's trying to push like rank 1 or anything like that. If he's just going for 90, great. I love the strategy, but yeah, definitely just want to... And look, I'm sure he's aware. Tatentiel? I find it very hard to pronounce that name. I don't know if it's... but, look, he's a great player. We've seen him before on the cast. Maybe not on this one, but in past gauntlets and stuff. So, definitely a strong player. So, might know something we don't. I don't know. Maybe has something planned. Maybe just hasn't found the gear to make certain swaps yet. Maybe he's going to regret those points and just swap over. Feels like the early ES is better than the endurance charges at this point. But we'll see. We'll see for now. Just keep an eye on it.
The playstyle looks so stressful to me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do love totems, but it is... Yeah, it's rough, right? Just having to, like, play around corners and just be afraid all the time. Like, you're kiting every pack of mobs. That just doesn't feel really great.
Looks like Rise was maybe alt-tabbing to pull some stuff up and take a break, so I'm going to bring Lily on stream.
No, good catch. Good catch.
And we can check in on her progress. It doesn't seem like the gear has progressed much since last time, but that might just be because she's happy with the gearing state she's got and is looking to push up into higher tier maps for some bossing, as the players at the top of the pack are generally starting to do now.
That makes a lot of sense, right? Like, her gears is good. Maybe not great, but the great pieces are going to be from very specific bases, like influence and stuff, which we do see she has in her stash, a 5-linked hunter influence. So maybe she's just trying to get currency right now, just trying to roll a piece or two, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's starting to push into those later red maps very soon.
Yeah, we have a disconnect issue on the bottom left.
We can pop...
it's still a problem.
I'm gonna swap Tatentiel with Karn. Just for now, just for, you know, Mr. Oni himself, farming up himself. Hopefully, it doesn't. His internet doesn't die and he doesn't rip in the process. Hopefully, it's just a Twitch issue and not a internet issue. Yeah. The Karn has committed to that Calm's Heart spec, which I kind of like.
We may see him swap back to a 5 or 6 link chess piece, depending on what he has stashed for bossing, in order to get higher damage out of secondary Rage Vortex links, like he was doing before he had the Calm's Heart.
Yeah.
But if you don't need the damage from that while mapping, and you can get an extra 1.2 to 1.6k life, however much he's getting, it diminishes the odds of something like what happened to Quantric happening to Karn.
Yeah. I mean, he's at 8100 life now. Not an easy amount to get to when you're going crit on top of Slayer, right? Like, it just requires a lot of investment on the tree to get your crit to reasonable levels, especially in the 3.15. So the fact that with Calms he can sort of squeeze out a little bit more defense, hopefully it can just keep him safe until he gets into those later boss fights.
Yeah, I mean, to put it into perspective, Karn has 8,100 life.
Yeah, 8.
And I think he has the lowest life total in terms of EHP of anyone currently on screen.
Yeah.
Because Carve has 9,000 energy shield, and Lily has 6.5k life, about 1.8k energy shield, with ES leech and ES recovery, so like it's a relevant bubble. And then Mind Over Matter with 1.7k mana.
So she's at like 10k, like effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Karn is wearing a Kaum's heart and has the lowest life of anyone on screen.
When you put it like that, it just doesn't sound like a good situation to be in.
I mean, he's still got a lot. I'm not saying 8.1k is a low life total.
No.
I'm saying people go for a massive life total in this event.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the things you have to, right? At the end of the day, there's only so much mitigation that any given build can achieve, right? So just having, like, raw life just prevents you from being one-shot, like, off-screen by, like, an 8,000 hit or something like that. So, pretty important. And obviously, like, it's hardcore SF, right? Like, you don't want... You can't say, okay, I can survive with 7,000, and if I rip once every 10, 20 maps, big deal. Not a problem. Can't be doing that here, right? This is a restart from zero. Like, re-level, re-grind your Onigoroshi from scratch if this happens, which I'm not sure he would do, but... I mean, you don't even want to be put into that position. Like, oh, God. Like, watching it once was hard enough. 13 hours? Forget about doing it. Forgetting about doing it again, my friend. Forget about that.
Well, as we asked for bossing content, does that count?
In a way, right?
But there was a question in chat earlier whether the Templar ladder is going to be pretty much a Hierophant race, or if Guardian or Inquisitor, that's the one I was forgetting, have anything of a chance. There's probably some Guardian minion builds that if you got the gear for them in your first roll and you wanted to re-roll to push the Templar ladder, could probably work. But they are much more gear dependent than some sort of Necro Summoner, as particularly if you're going for like Spectres, as the lack of the +2 gems is a huge deal for that kind of build.
Mm-hmm.
I think the easiest thing for a lot of these players to get off the ground, as it relies simply on some uniques that are common enough that they'll probably find them on their first run, is going to be the Hierophant Totem builds.
Yeah.
So do I think it's the only thing that can possibly work? No. Do I think it's the only thing that players will gravitate towards? Yes.
And Suichiro actually makes... I'll comment on your Templars in a sec, but Suichiro makes a very eloquent response. It's like, if you have life so you don't die while mapping, because if you eat a slam against most bosses, you go splat anyways. Very well put. I know sometimes I can ramble. I am working on it, but that is very accurate, right? Like, if a Shaper Slam's going to do 10k, then the difference between 7.5 and 8 doesn't really matter. But during a map, like, you can just be tickled down by, like, 7 different attacks at once and get, at 1,000 damage a hit, you are going to go splat, right? So that buffer for mapping does matter. While finishing the boss fight maybe a minute sooner or a minute faster with a 5-link Rage Vortex is probably a better option for the bossing.
Yeah, there's some things you just don't build to tank.
Yeah,
like, you don't expect to tank Shaper Slam. You don't expect to tank Aziri Flame Blast.
Exactly.
You don't try and get tanky enough for those things. You avoid them,
well,
or
it's
you
unrealistic.
lose.
It's unrealistic, right? Especially in the Gauntlet environment where they're doing significantly more damage. Maybe in a trade league, maybe you can make that happen. Like, if you have a very niche with a niche build, maybe with like Transcendence and all this other, like, you're sacrificing a lot of DPS to get there. But in Gauntlet, it's just not a realistic option. Forgetting that it's SSF, forgetting that fact, like, the damage they're pumping out is just so much higher that you just can't realistically afford to sacrifice. I might not even sacrifice. I just don't think it would be possible, honestly.
I wonder what Karn is looking for here, though. He's going for maybe Gwenin rerolls, because I think that was the Broken Circle currency icon that he just clicked on. It was quick, so it was hard to say. But he's been doing a whole bunch of logbook farming. Like, the last 3 or 4 zones that I've seen him in have all been relatively high-level logbooks. But this one's only level 75, so he's maybe getting down to the last of his supply.
Yeah, maybe just, like, I think it's, I know in, like, businesses it's called batching. It's when you do similar types of content, like, all at once. You're like, okay, I've saved up all my sulfite, now I'm going to go delve. Now I've saved up, like, 6-7 logbooks, I'm going to do this all at once now. And I actually really like that strategy. I think it puts you in the right mindset to face the content that you're doing. It's, like, similar to what Steel did with labbing, right? He was like, okay, I have... he went overboard with it, granted, but I have 4 offerings. I'm going to do just lab. I know the layout. I know, like, I'm sort of used to being hit by traps. So, if he's doing all his logbook at once, I think it's a smart decision. Look, and maybe he's hunting for something in particular, but I don't think it's a bad decision to just run them anyways. Where there's so much, even if you get, only get ROG crafting recipes, or you're only getting Gwenin, it's fine, because the rewards in and of itself, whether it's fossils, whether it's scarabs, whether it's, even if it's just splinters to finish off your Legion and and Blight, not Blight, Legion and oh my god. Oh my, what is it?
Simulacrum? Is that what you think?
I'll take a Breach. Oh my god, or Breach encounters. Sorry. You know, 6 years of Path of Exile, I forgot that Breach existed. But you know, there's so much like raw currency and raw items that you can just get from them that I really like that he's just he's not wasting them and like letting them rot in his stash.
Yeah, they're a great tool for targeting whichever currency you might happen to need.
Rambling.
If he is going for Gwenin, then he may need a particular unique that isn't that common. Maybe it's Sibyl's if he wants to try and do Uber Ziri more safely. Could be useful for bossing.
Yeah, the great rambling of 2021. Yeah, I know. It is what it is, guys. You know, I like to talk, so I guess being on this stage makes a lot of sense for me.
We've got a boss fight. I don't know if we're still on the bottom right, but
Yeah,
I want to.
There we are.
I want to see how effective the Glacial Cascade Totems is for Tatientel here, as this is a pick we haven't seen anyone else go with. Mm-hmm. Oh, and also a rip at rank 32 in the global chat there.
Yeah, Piotr down at level 30, rank 32, pretty high up there, but I don't know. His totems are actually, I mean, they're getting crushed by Veritania, but I'm not really surprised at that. I don't think totems can survive any sort of these late game bosses, but hopefully he'll be able to just work on his placement and just focus on dodging abilities rather than DPSing.
Yeah, trying to keep Veritania off of himself with a multi-totem decoy totem setup. Mm-hmm. Especially given he probably has some incidental totem health scaling on the tree. Those things will be tanky enough to eat a couple hits, but not a barrage like that. Good lord. He was lucky to get out of there. God dang.
Yeah, that is yeah, so for those that do not know, all those like wing waves, I'm gonna call them, those do actually shotgun and are affected by the LNP mod in Gauntlet. Very scary.
And I think this is second round of Conquerors. It's a 73 zone. It could be first at 73, right?
Yeah, could be first. Because that's a T5. Yeah, so it's either or T5 or T6. So it's either first or second round.
Yeah, bad manners to message a streamer while they're in the middle of a boss fight. But he gets it down. Well done.
Yeah, so maybe just very early on in his progression. Only has a 5 link as well, so maybe, I mean, well, 6 link, pseudo 6 link from the Soul Mental, but maybe we spoke too soon. Maybe, you know, maybe we were sort of criticizing. Maybe he's just early on in this character's life cycle.
That is the same map that he was in when we were watching it earlier.
No,
he is clearing extremely slowly because he has to play so safely.
Okay.
So I'd be worried about if he does want to push the top of the Templar ladder, I'd be worried about his capability to, 1, handle higher tier maps while lacking Fizmet, and 2,
keep pace.
Push to 95 in the first place.
Yeah. Like if I mean, yeah, keeping pace with some of these other builds is just really tough. I mean, look, Templar is currently like the lowest average overall level. But I think that's going to quickly change. We know Ziz rerolled. We know like if a Steel Mage, if he does rip or can't do the bosses, is going to reroll into Templar as well. There's a lot of people in the wings waiting to sort of claim that, especially if they've been saving gear for that reroll. So they can just level the Templar, hit level 70, and just equip essentially a full item set. Yeah, and maybe with level gems as well. Hopefully, like they're leveling their Forbidden Rights in their offhands or something like that. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I do have another couple clips to show, though. As we've got some fresh off the presses here. This is Stero 2D playing, it looks like, Spectral Helix.
Love that skill. Oh, with the MTX as well. Oh, got heisted.
Yep.
Oh, no.
That is a Templar heist, I think? Just judging from the layout? Yeah, those are the most dangerous of all the different heist types. They scale off the extra prod from Gauntlet most effectively, and it looks like the dodge just didn't carry him through a number of hits there. There was a sub-Fizz aura following them around for a while.
It is actually this. I've paused at like 5 seconds. It's really hard to see with his MTX, which actually might have gotten killed there. But it's this one little yellow dot on screen at 6 seconds on the left that kills him, I believe. Just one yellow dot, and then yeah, dead.
I'm trying to find it. Yeah. The trails from the MTX make it so hard to see.
Yeah, it's really it's like a 2-frame. Like you can barely. Yeah, I mean, I imagine that's what I'm estimating. If there's something on the ground that pops him, impossible to see because of the MTX. And obviously because like when you die in heist, you drop all your heisted items. So if there is anything left over, we just cannot see it. Wow, brutal.
And the rank 32 rip that we just saw in global chat.
Oh no, Piotr. Oh no. Oh, playing self-cast, I think. Yeah, self-cast exsanguinate.
It's looking like traps.
No, it's traps. It's traps.
Detonate dead box. Right on the edge of it too. Was trying to play around it, but just didn't quite get far enough away.
That is. Does he? Oh, he just clicks it and. Oh, okay.
It's a little bit delayed.
Yeah.
I can see why he went back in.
Yeah.
Like that explosion was anything but instant.
Yeah, I mean, but I typically find that is usually about a second and a half after, right? But that is pretty. But you are right though. It looks really compared to usual. That is like twice as long as it usually takes. So he thinks, okay, maybe it was just like a firestorm box or something on coming in, and just gets popped. Actually, I'm not even sure how many overlaps there are. It might just be. Oh no, it's a lot of overlaps. It's a lot of overlaps. It's like 7 million explosions all on him at once. Yeah.
There's a sound effect that happens whenever a triggered trap goes off on a strongbox.
Mm-hmm.
I would try to imitate the sound, but I feel like I would do a really horrible job. It's sort of like a chiming noise. Mm-hmm. Maybe a bad way to describe it. It's not just for Detonate Dead. Any triggered trap from a strongbox will play the same sound. So it could be Firestorm or it could be Ice Nova. But basically, if you hear that sound, you just stand a half a screen away regardless, in case it's a really bad one.
They did change block and spell dodge to be able to dodge this stuff, but being I believe a saboteur, there's no chance. I mean, maybe he has phase acro, but with that many hits coming out, even if you have 40% spell dodge, like you're done. One of those hits might kill you, let alone like 20 of them.
And I like Detonate Dead boxes are obviously extremely deadly, and everyone's well aware of that. But they're even more deadly in Gauntlet because the more monster life applies to the corpses, and that will cause the explosion to deal more damage.
I mean, Wrathking makes a point. Identifying a box takes 1 second, and you're right. It is a very easy thing to do, but if you're trying to really race, and you feel very confident in your character, 7,500 life, obviously damage is not a problem. You get comfortable, right? And it's not even a rare box, right? So you see it. Oh, it's just blue. What are the odds? You click it. He probably has freeze immunity, so you can ignore that mod. It's probably the only mod he couldn't ignore, and sadly just led to his death. Especially if you're on like a longer play session or you're really trying to like go fast. I genuinely don't think you have the time to keep identifying boxes and stuff like that. And you really just want the mobs. You want the density, so you're gonna click them. It could also be autopiloting, right? Like you play Path of Exile, like 99 times out of 100, you're clicking that box in a trade league, right? Without identifying it. So it's just a habit that carries over. I mean, it's like you're right. He should have identified it, but I can understand why he didn't.
I honestly think it was just like a very slight misstep. Cursor was a little bit too far down the screen because he's not like right on top of the box or something. He's at the edge and gets tapped by a couple of the bigger corpse explosions from that blue pack that he just killed. Which, it was obviously a misplay.
Oh no,
should have stood a little further away, but it's a pretty understandable misplay in my mind.
Yeah, and
it's an easy mistake to make.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Again, look, I'm not saying obviously, Wrathking's right. Like identifying would have been better than dying and resetting, right? I'm just saying I understand why you wouldn't do that if you're racing, right? If you do everything like to be first place, you can't, I think, afford every map to identify everything. Take your time to check like every single rare before you hover over them. Oh, this has sub-phase, this is that. Like sometimes you just have to play the game, right? And sadly, because of that, like you're just gonna run into these situations where you get bopped sometimes.
Lily requires 1 more strength.
Oh my, are you kidding?
It's gonna be so annoying.
Wait, can she not like bless her like her Onyx amulet or something? That'd be
well, repadding on the left of the tree instead of the top of the tree saves a point and gets 10 strength.
Oh, it's
what I saw.
It's just the immortal call, so she can just lower the level by 1, so that's okay.
Can't she just repath on the left of the tree instead of the top? Oh no, but she needs the cluster jewel socket.
Yeah, I think. Never mind. I think she wants to cut out like that.
And she can't cut the pathing from witch to shadow because she needs the max res wheel between.
Yeah, she needs the reduced effectiveness, right?
Yeah, it's really annoying that you have this point where your passage tree would connect through a single point, but you need wheels on both of your less efficient pathings, so you can't swap it. But easy enough to just de-level your Immortal Call by 1. It's probably not going to be the end of the world. Three-way Legion fight, though. Lily probably looking for a
let's full screen.
glorious vanity here.
Let's have a little full screen. This is the first sort of Legion encounter we've actually seen on stream.
Yep. I think Karn was doing some earlier before he was running his logbooks. That may have been why he was running the logbooks, because you can get layouts where runic monsters drop additional Legion splinters, so he maybe was trying to farm for those.
I'm gonna grab the Chaos Res and a little bit of extra damage too from the Aziri Flask.
With the Vol Legion in, I suppose the Chaos Res is rather nice, but I don't know what the strategy is here.
Oh, maybe just testing with like the new. Oh, she's just trying to grab a Spectre, I think.
Oh, yeah, okay. One of the giant specters. Those have a relatively high health pool. And so I guess if you bring one of those... She's doing the thing I mentioned earlier, where you can essentially burn portals in the fight to add high health corpses to the zone. So she's going to go in with her first 2 specters, then get 2 different ones, then go in with those 2 specters, then get 2 different ones, and rinse repeat as many times as she has the patience to do until she's either out of portals or out of patience.
Actually, do you mind if I just leave on the cast for a minute? I'm just getting a quick little call here. I'll be about 2-3 minutes. Promise.
Sure. Go right ahead. And for people who missed the explanation, since it was in the previous broadcast, I'll just mention again. When you have a Spectre raised with Raised Spectre and you are casting Desecrate, that Spectre's corpse will be added to the Desecrate pool. This can be very advantageous, whatever you pronounce that, when you're playing Detonate Dead, because Necromancer scales corpse health, and there's points on the tree that scale corpse health. Which then means if you have a high corpse health base value from having a high health Spectre, you get a huge corpse hit from the explosion. And in some zones, that can be stronger than others. A good example is Labyrinth. In the Uber Lab fight, like the actual fight, so not the zones between Azaros, but the actual Azaro fight, that zone doesn't have any corpses that are native to it. So your Spectre corpses are the only ones that get added to your Desecrate pool. So you do like 8 times damage to Azaro than you normally would. It's pretty ridiculous. This build just can delete Azaro instantly. Not that that's too relevant, but a place where it might be more relevant is Synthesis bosses, which also don't have Spectrable corpses in their zones. So you do up to like 4 or 5 times damage to them. It's crazy good. And no, the corpses don't get expended. I'm not sure I understand the question necessarily, but every time you Desecrate, it randomly assorts Spectre corpses in with the Desecrate pool. Sometimes you high roll and get like 5 or 6, sometimes you low roll and get like 1, which is why the damage can be a little spiky on this build, because occasionally you'll high roll on a Desecrate while you're casting Vol Detonate Dead, and then you'll just literally 2-shot the boss, and then sometimes you get no Spectre corpses, and your LE Overload isn't up because it didn't happen to proc, and you also don't have Vol ED, so you do like Z DPS for the next 3 seconds. It can be a bit of a RNG fiesta when you have a scuffed version of the build as a result. Yeah, the Spectre corpses can repeatedly come up. And specifically what Lily was doing here and why she went back to Act 3 was to get the giant statue Spectres, because she already... It's when you enter a zone, your Spectres that you currently have added are currently have acted... Words are tough. Currently have active are added to the desecratable pool of that zone. And that will snapshot. So if you enter a zone with Spectre A and Spectre B, those are now in the corpse pool. You can then leave that zone and go get Spectre C and D and enter the zone, and those will get added too, but A and B are still in there. And then you can do it with E and F and, keep going. And it doesn't matter if the Spectres die either. They're still in the corpse pool for the zone. So it doesn't matter that they're falling over here. They're still added to the corpse pool, which is all she cares about.
Very cool tech. And I am back, by the way. That was the Prime Minister of Mars calling for a Galactic Federation. I said I got more important things to do. I'm full day on the docket. I'm already with chat, guys. So we moved on. But I'm glad to hear that this fight's going well so far. And that tech with the Spectres is actually something that I really didn't know about. So it's pretty awesome that you can sort of like populate the pool if you so choose. If you have the time, inclination, and maybe just feel like you're lacking the damage, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if the Spectres die here. Stopping to resummon them would be a waste of time. They're in the Desecrate pool, whether they die or not. They just have to be spectered by you when you enter the zone, and then they're in the Desecrate pool.
Very cool.
She would just have to resummon them before she enters a new zone. but for the rest of this fight, she has them in her pool.
So this is not what who called again? What guy? I was just having a joke, but this is not a Spectre Bank. So, just to clarify, Spectre Bank is a separate character, usually a PvP Scion, because then you can who's automatically level 28, so you can equip the Spectre gem, Race Spectre, and you can have your favorite 2 Spectres. I'm assuming on that character, so you can always repopulate your pool. So in case you lose your Spectres and you can't resummon them, you have a character that can summon them in your hideout, and then you can subsequently resummon those as well. Yeah, on your main character. So let's say you find some really rare Spectres that are really good, you can always have them up. And it was the I was saying that it was nearly a headhunter.
Twice Enchanted is nice enough to see, I guess, and a Shaper leather belt. You can get like % mana or something, but yeah, that's not what she was looking for.
No, she wanted her timeless jewel. It was, by the way, for you asking. It was. I said it was the Prime Minister of Mars from the Galactic Federation. Yeah, that was just me being a bit of an idiot, but I thought, again, chat's more important. I couldn't take the call, guys, so I was back real quick.
We'll see whether Lily has another set of emblems to run, or if that was the last of her stash. I hope she has another set. It's fun to watch those.
Mark was asking. No, look, she's probably gonna have to farm out some more Legion stuff just from that zone. What is it? Not New Vestir, is it?
New Vestir has some Legion nodes, I believe.
Yeah.
I think it has the ones that give you a chance to drop a full stone, or whatever it's called, full timeless emblem.
Yeah. I found those actually fairly reliable, actually. They may not be okay. I haven't done the math, and I don't know if it's technically more splinters per zone than the other area, but I felt pretty good running that and just sort of collecting stones as I went. Granted, it's hard to sort of get the ones you want, but it's nice to be able to sort of just ignore splinters kind of as a whole and just focus on, I just want the full stone. I mean, granted, you don't have that sort of luxury maybe in an SSF, like where time is an issue, but yeah, I always felt really good about that area.
And we can check in on our boy Karn here, who is blasting along with that Calm Start as we mentioned earlier, and has it's only 76. I thought it was going to be an I-83 safe house. I got excited. And 76 is still honestly decent, I guess. I don't know. It's not as exciting. I want a T16 safe house. I want to see him get slammed by it that fled and dropped 1k health. Yeah. Sad.
Actually, Shadow brings a great point. New Vestir is great as well, because you get the 10 extra seconds to break things out. Especially in Gauntlet, where everything has 40% more life. You know, especially early on, that might be a really, really powerful option to just get your Legion farming going on quick. Good point.
Well, we've seen some bossing already attempted and some completed. Lighty handled, I think it was formed an Uber at Ziri, and then finally perished to Uber Elder and is re-rolling at the moment. But I don't think there's been a ton of bossing done otherwise. Steel got an I-83 Katarina down, as did one of the other gladiators. Yes, Hajid.
Yeah, so, I mean, again, it was early days. Lighty really took the first step forward, but sadly wasn't able to get Uber Elder down, which is, I think it was one of the last ones. He only had Cyrus and Uber Elder down. Needed to go,
It's a rough one to lose because it's one of the higher RNG fights potentially in terms of getting back to it, because maybe he gets the reroll and he gets to 95, he gets real good gear again. I'm sure Lighty will be able to do that, and then he gets screwed with Shaper dropping nothing but the wrong fragment 4 times in a row, and somebody else getting Uber Elder down and moving on to future boss fights before he has a chance to. We have another boss though, actually, as it's just been posted in the Discord.
Awesome. Let me just grab it real quick.
Let me know what timestamp I should match you at. Unless this is... Oh, this is just a full video. Cool. Excellent. So let me know when to hit play.
Should be just a second. Pause, and we'll switch over to the right scene. Professional streamer, by the way. We'll full screen. I'm on 0, 3, 2, 1, play. So this is Hajid. We just saw him do the area level 83 Mastermind, so he's just working his way through the bosses right now. Makes sure to untag the Maven Witness. This
Yeah.
is very important, chat. For these later bosses, please uncheck this. I mean, sure you can witness it for the feared, but the reality is that's just not going to be something you want to do. This is the first actual Shaper fight we've seen. I know Lighty did do Shaper and Elder. Maybe he hasn't submitted the VODs yet, but because he was in the Uber Elder fight, like, he had to have done them already. But yeah, let's see. Like, I'm really curious to see how his build sort of performs, right? Like, Shaper with the Gauntlet mods is kind of terrifying. Like, the 3 balls at once because of LMP, just pretty damn spooky.
You're never happy to see Rigwald. This guy is just a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Agreed.
Relatively easy for a gladiator to simply face tank the Wolfstorm ability, but with the relatively low DPS, a Spectral Shield throw, you're going to be chasing around this arena for the next year and a half as he just continually goes invulnerable. And then when you finally get him low, he pulls a freaking 180 and jumps to the other side of the arena with no animation, so you don't know where he went. And this fight is good.
I mean, it's also one of these things, because he's playing with the Crimson Dance, like, he has to just like stack up his damage, but he isn't able to like just continually attack, so his damage is falling off a fair bit.
And every time he transforms, all the bleeds are going to get cleaned off, so he's going to have to stack his damage back up. This fight is cool.
Yeah. Well, cool is one word. Frustrating, annoying is another. Yeah. Look, shouldn't really be a problem. It's just going to take a little bit.
Yeah, no, this guy, he's zero threat to a well-built gladiator.
Yeah.
You know, he's entirely hit fizz damage. As long as you stay away from the wolf form and don't get a massive bleed on you when you don't have a staunching flask, that's like the only thing I can think of that would kill you here. It's just very annoying.
Yeah, for Aralta, who just arrived, asking where were the highlights. So the structure of the cast is always the first 30 minutes to an hour. We do all the boss reviews and all that stuff. So you can just go to the back at the beginning of the VOD, or the beginning of this one, and you'll have all those things to watch. A lot of clips, a lot of rips, and a lot of boss kills too. So enjoy.
I'm pretty sure Rigwald was just actually invisible at the end of that fight.
I wouldn't be surprised. That has been a boss that has sort of plagued the GGG with bugs for forever. Like, every other patch, it just seems like, oh, like, his wolf form's invulnerable, or something's invisible, or like sometimes, like, he's just one of these bosses that, like, since its inception in Talisman just has not worked properly.
He's doing the boss fight with screen shake enabled too. Extra bit of challenge.
I've never been a fan of screen shake, but like it does add a lot of like tension to the fights, right? It just feels like it makes the game feel a lot more dynamic. But I'm all about that min max. That's why I play Path of Exile. And honestly, I don't like my screen moving when I can't click in the right place.
The Sapphire Flask is likely because Shaper does quite a lot of cold damage with the orbs. The Topaz Flask is a little strange. I think the only lightning damage in the Shaper fight is in his beam, because his beam is tri-elemental, so it'll be partially lightning. I can't think of another thing in the Shaper fight that would be high lightning damage.
Nor I. I did talk about his. I kind of ragged on him about his flasks last time, but has made some changes which I like. But again, the Topaz is still a bit of a mystery to me. As well. Adds a lot of motion sickness, true, especially if you're playing for a little bit longer, or you're playing something like Earth Shatter or Earthquake build. Yeah, the screen shaking a lot can give people a little bit of nausea or something like that. Yeah.
And in this fight, there's a lot more meteors that fall outside the tent than inside it, so you generally want to stay in the tent with the Tyrant if you can. It can be a little tough to do that sometimes, as staying in the tent often means tanking some of his degens or maybe his Molten Shell. But if you're tanky enough to do that, it's the safer place to be.
Oh, I'm thinking it's just his anti-shock flask, which could be the truth, but you can roll anti-shock on any flask, so why not have it on, I don't know, like anything else? I'm not sure. Like even another Sapphire Flask, right?
We are watching
Hajid.
Hajid is the name.
Yeah. Looking really good though. See, that's what we're talking about. The LMP on those balls, it just covers such a huge area, so you want to stay quite close to him, similar to how Frostbolt works for us as players. It doesn't. The speed on those increases the further away they travel. So if you can stay close, you can kind of mitigate those from being too much of a threat.
There is also a dead zone in their hitbox when they spawn. If you're on top of Shaper, the orbs can spawn on you, but they will not hit you.
Yeah, but
it looks very scary.
Yeah, it's very close though. Like, you got to be real close. I don't actually like his ball management placement. Like the first one, he had a lot of time to choose where to put it, and like typically you want to stack them all on top of each other in a very far corner so it doesn't mess with your arena too much. But like kind of just like that one. But maybe just, you are fighting Shaper for the first time in the Gauntlet. At least this Gauntlet. You got maybe some nerves are there and just wants to take things slow and just maybe micromanage poorly for that first ball placement.
Yeah, and they will get cleaned up between phases. So first phase, you can be a little lax on the orbs. And you're probably not going to have more than like 4 or 5 of them spawn in total.
Oh yeah, I mean, look,
unless your DPS is really low, in which case you're probably going to struggle for other reasons in the fight.
Oh no, I know. Look, I'm being pretty picky and pretty harsh. I just want to. I don't know why. Again, salty because of the headrunner, maybe. But it's really, I just want to point out to chat like the ideal options or what you should be doing. Right, it's best practice to always. Practice to fight how you are going to fight it in the like for the final phase, which is much scarier, granted. But if you can build up good habits, it's probably best for the best.
And there is some risk with the unique boss before Shaper here, as with multi-proj. I imagine the projectile spam on getting close to him is going to be pretty dangerous. The first phase one usually doesn't immediately start with a barrage, though.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a little nasty if you don't unfreeze instantly and then get shotgunned down.
Yeah. Zaniac brings up an interesting point that Zana also has LMP in this fight. True. Similar to Einhar, she is actually tagged as a monster, so she gains all those like the 40% increased damage. She'll get the physical added as elemental, and she's gonna have the LMP as well. So it's kind of just this neat little Easter egg, I guess, that all these NPCs are tagged as monsters. They're not actually friendly. Just kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, Zana could die. The dangerous thing to watch out for as far as keeping Zana alive is not the portals so much, because if you don't have the DPS to control the mobs during the portal phase, then you're screwed again for other reasons. Your DPS is way too low for this fight. Mm-hmm. But the cloned version of Shaper, his ghost that can spawn, will kill his own daughter, which is just really goddamn metal, and also kind of screws you over in the future phases of the fight.
Yeah, it might force you to log and then you abuse the sort of immunity phase or the grace period that you get when you enter in a zone, but it's not. They have reduced it, right? So it's only a handful of seconds for the Shaper fight, unlike the invitations, which is a full minute.
Yeah, I think it's like 5-6 seconds, something like that. No. Because people were using it to just completely skip bullet phase in hardcore.
Yeah.
Similar to how people would skip memory phase in Maven, and then they said no to that.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if this is going to put a lot of pressure on Steel and some of the other gladiators, right? Hajeed is kind of making this push for endgame content, so,
annoying timing on that orb.
Yeah, just unfortunate.
I think it was hovering. Oh, okay. I think that orb was hovering around the bottom side of the screen before bullet hell phase, so he could maybe have dealt with it if he had noticed it. Maybe it wasn't seen. But yeah, that's pretty much like the nightmare right there, where he does bullet hell and then immediately pulls out a laser, because you don't have anywhere that's guaranteed safe to go in the arena, and the laser visual takes priority over the bullets, which means there can be bullets hiding in the laser that you just don't have any way to see.
That was incredibly scary. I mean, I think an extra half second in there and he rips, right?
Yep. a little slower on the life flask. That's straight to standard. Extra half second, straight to standard. Touch a bullet, go to standard.
pretty much. And again, that's why I like the second life flask, especially as a blood magic build, right? I mean, not that it should matter. Like, his sustain is enough, but.
So that's what you want to happen. You want to see the slam out of the bullet hell phase, because admittedly the slam is still dangerous. Nothing he does is completely safe, but it's a lot easier to track. Like, it's not going to block the visuals of any bullets, and you're not going to accidentally slam face first into one you didn't see because of a laser. Also, Shaper is bugging out and is not where he's actually supposed to be standing. That is a bug that has been part of this fight since its inception.
Bug?
It's
or
a relatively harmless one.
Bug or feature, my friend? That's after about how many years has it become just an intended mechanic?
Oh, that's so annoying. He's like
just about
half a second away from phasing, and he forces another bullet hell here. Yeah. Okay, he's slamming good.
I think in the final phase, he really has to start paying attention to these ball placements. You can't be as lax as this. Like, this is going to really hurt him in this next phase.
Yeah, he missed one early on that was really punishing, because it spawned in the bottom right and wandered towards the middle right as the bullet hell phase started, so he was forced to place it in Zana's protective bubble. If he had seen that a second earlier or so, he probably could have been able to make a much cleaner fight out of that.
I mean, look, it can happen, but it's just like one or two being out of place is fine. But I think that like the nearly 50% of his arena was covered in degens, right? Like that's just like being slowed and stuff like that is really just gonna hurt your survivability. It's not even like the damage you're taking from the degen, which is a lot, mind you, but it's also just like the survivability of not being able to walk or run around as confidently as you otherwise would be able to.
Fewer safe places to run in a bullet hell. The bullet hell is like, it's the most dangerous part of the fight. It's the thing that's most likely to one tap you. So you got to be planning around that the whole time. And there is another bullet hell, but relatively easy to avoid that one.
So this is Hajid. He's ranked I think 3 or 4 on the ladder, and I imagine it's a few million DPS with everything up. I mean, not always going to be the case because he has to ramp up his damage, but in an ideal situation, it's probably around. Just guessing on how much shaper damage he's doing, like 2-ish. 2 to 3, maybe
1.5 to 2.
Yeah,
would be my guess. Yeah, that's it's pretty much the upper bound of what the gladiators can accomplish, but they are very consistent with that DPS. So they don't have problems with like totem survivability or with traps not triggering because the enemy's moving a ton. You always have that damage going, pretty much. Okay, no orbs spawning around the edges, so he's not gonna get unlucky here. The first bullet hell. We'll see if it's a slam or a laser.
Laser. God, that laser just looks...
See that bullet that just came out of the laser there? That almost hit him?
No.
That's what I'm talking about. The laser art will hide bullets, and you have no way of knowing where they're coming from unless you like memorize the bullet position before you left the bubble.
Yeah.
He managed to dodge it just reflexively. But yeah, he had to dodge down away from it. He didn't know it was coming.
And look, obviously learn from his early mistakes. His ball management is... I mean, look, okay, one of them popped there, but that's not his fault. But really doing a good job. I think obviously wary of Phase 3. Probably fought this boss like dozens, if not hundreds of times in the past. So very confident that he can handle sort of this fight.
So the clone shaper does get dismissed whenever you go into bullet hell. So that was actually somewhat lucky timing that the clone barely got any time alive.
Able to sort of keep that ball from triggering. Really nice. And just keeping his DPS up. Really putting on a bit of a show here. I mean, obviously... not the highest DPS, so does have to interact with these mechanics. Maybe that he doesn't want to, but just keeping his head above his shoulders, head above water here.
Yeah, he had Shaper off screen for a moment there, and that is always a very dangerous thing to do. He really wanted to get rid of those orbs and not have to worry about them, but I feel like kiting them out a little longer was maybe the safer play. Not dead because of it, though.
Yes, he does have screen shake on. When you witness the Maven clone does not disappear, right?
Yes.
The Maven clone won't, but like the Shaper clone will.
Yeah, the Maven one follows different rules.
Which you want to turn off, by the way. The Feared is not a mandatory fight for either a bounty or for just for the regular point system. So do not witness... If you're trying to push for like rank 1 or trying to get points and really push yourself up the ladder, do not witness the Shaper or Elder fights or Uber Elder fights to make sure to untick that. And then tick it back on after if you need to.
You know, I never play with Screen Shake, so I didn't realize it, but it seems like Screen Shake only triggers when Shaper lasers, and, like, not his other abilities. So it's kind of like a way of telling that Shaper's doing a laser beam, even if he's off screen, because of the Screen Shake.
Yeah, I look. It's only if you're using... Because the Spectral Shield Throw won't trigger. It'll only be the... Yeah, it's only the beam. Yeah, so unless you're... it's a nice tech. As long as you're playing Spectral Shield Throw, turn it on, you know exactly when he's gonna...
There's a tiny screen shake when he lands the slam, but there's a big one when he does the beam. And yeah, he's just going to log there. That is laser beam out of bullet hell with that much screen clutter on the arena, you log. That makes sense.
And he has 5 portals. Like, there's no reason not to use these things. Really good call. Again, when you go back in, he only has, 3 seconds of immunity, so just got to be out of there really fast. But I think Shaper does end his animations, and dead. Logs at, like, with 1% life left, but I really respect it, and I like the idea.
Would have been greedy to stay.
Yeah.
Like, you have no way of knowing where half those bullets are in that situation.
Respect, Hajid. So if people want to look up his character, it's Samuel Hajid, level 97. I think he's ranked 3 or 4 overall in the Gauntlet, so should be pretty easy to find. PoE-Racing. And on that note, why don't we actually look at the... why don't we bring the ladder actually up, Octavian?
Sure thing. Let me grab it for you. Sorry, I don't have the tool up right now because I was...
Oh, no, fine. I got it.
Too dead on the fight.
I got it. You're good. We've seen a bit of a shake-up in the ladder. For those of you unaware, people have ripped, people have done bosses and then ripped. So Big shakeup in the meta. We do see DS Lily actually leading the Witches overall with 97 points. YSYH, who is a familiar to the Gauntlet, maybe not to a lot of you players, but puts on a hell of a showing every time as Witch, as Necromancer. And I think this time actually playing DD, when usually is a dedicated minion player. Pak, sadly, ripped at rank 5. Top 5 Shadows, we have Fino, we have Kukelkache, and Uzahalworth. As ITV, actually, who's generally in chat level 96, repping the Zizaran stream. Awesome. Gucci Prada did die at 95. We saw that yesterday to a really unfortunate heist encounter. Darky and Ventrua both dead, but Darky still secured at first place after defeating a multitude of bosses. Did slay Shaper, Adziri, Elder, the Formed, and Uber Adziri. Sadly, did die on the Uber Elder. I imagine he's pretty mad that he didn't do Awaken or Maven first, but maybe he's afraid of those, or maybe he's not as familiar with the Maven fight as he is with the others. But yeah, Kobe Black Mamba just in third place. Did rip early on once or twice, so really great job getting back up there. And Carve, as we saw on screen, the rank 5 overall, but not actually leveling his Ranger anymore. He actually has switched over to his Trickster. But that just speaks to Carve as a player, right? That his his mule, essentially, just to farm up his gear, is rank 5 overall. We have Hajid at rank 1 over here. Samuel Hajid with 104 points and is second overall with 104. Huwu, who is the Bounty King with $1,300 secured already. We saw him do 2 more bounties today, which was first level up from slaying the Awakener and first unlock all the Pantheons. Steel Mage's just behind at 99 points, and then Son of Sons and X say bye-bye, who we just saw rip, actually, and he was in chat. It died to a DC and Delve, super unfortunate, at rank 5. Lalagate, everyone's favorite General's Cry Marauder, rank 1 overall now, Fight Girl rank 2, and Quandric at rank 3 did die. Actually, Marauder looking... There's only 2 alive in the top 5, so Marauder might be a play for a lot of players if they want to reroll and try and grab a top 5 position.
Yeah, and Lalagate is actually just outside the top 10, doing real well.
Yeah. Great point, actually, just outside.
Has made a couple changes to the build. Swapped out of Blood Magic and picked up a Gemini Claw, so solving mana sustain now with the mana gained on hit from that. Mm-hmm. Still not a particularly impressive claw, though. No influence, just intelligence to solve smart problems and blind on hit. That's pretty much it. That weapon is not doing much.
Actually, it's funny that it has Lightning Res as well, because the last claw did also have Lightning Res, so maybe actually using the claw to actually res cap. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I haven't checked the POB or not, but I'm wondering why the swap over from Blood Magic. What is Auras or Pride, Dread Banner, Blood Sand, and Herald of Purity. So is able to
quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's very significant actually. Another 20-30% more damage overall. Yeah, awesome. And a 2400 shield too.
And all it really costed was like 10 life gained on hit, which is not massive.
No. Actually pretty insignificant overall, actually, so definitely worth the change. I imagine the life pool is still very similar to what it was as well. So Lalagate doing amazing work. Berserker in the top 13, or actually top 10 technically of alive players. Put in the work, and actually has a Replicas Conqueror's efficiency as well, which is just really nice tech. Obviously making her Cyclone just cost that little bit less. Onto the Templars, we see Singularity at rank 1 with 95 points, and just goes to show you how different, or how like everything's pretty close. Like Templars, Marauders, Witches, Shadows, they're all in those 90-point range. We've only seen Darky and Hajid really start bosses, and they're the only ones squeaking out ahead. Huwu as well, but I'm not sure he's actually will be completing the rest of the Gauntlet. We're not 100% sure. Maybe he wants to rip at 98 for some more bounty hunting. And Scions as well. Sitting there at that 95 point mark. Obviously 95 points is the maximum you can achieve from level contribution. So probably very soon all these top 5 players in each of these categories are going to start with their bosses, assuming they have the gear they need. And Jungrown is just needs one more cluster for the respec. So very, very cool. Awesome. I mean haven't been able to watch you live stream a lot because you haven't been on when we've been on, but I've been watching lurking off stream and watching a little bit. You're putting in a lot of work, dude, and I'm excited to see you attempt these bosses soon. Good luck, man. I'm actually rooting for you, Jungrown. I'm a secret fan, dude. Well, maybe not so secret anymore, actually.
Mess around with who we have on live since we have a couple of people on break or eating or something like
I'm
that.
gonna pop us in the bottom right, by the way. Just giving you a heads
Oh,
up.
okay.
No, just giving you a heads up. But yeah, please swap them around. We've seen a lot of Lily, a lot of Carvam, a lot of Karn in the last couple of days. I'm Exile, actually back at it. I think this... He said this is his final reroll, but I think he said that before. I think the man loves competition, and Gauntlet is obviously there to provide that for him.
And with some deaths towards the top of the ladder, that's probably encouraging for trying to push.
Oh no, I think Darky dying like reinvigorated. I imagine reinvigorated I'm Exile. I think a lot of players were thinking, oh god, he's got this in the bag. Like it's Darky. How is he gonna die to Uber Elder? How is he gonna die like Maven? Like he's so comfortable with those fights. Turns out, the bosses do a lot of damage, and they can sneak up on you and just one tap you.
I wish him luck getting the cold iron point.
Oh, me too. Carve is actually gonna stick with his cold dot. I think that the build's really working for him, and actually about to go into a fight, so we'll full screen that for you guys. Yeah, and again, he's just doing all the strategy we were talking about before. In this first initial phase where he's just meleeing you, you really want to get as much DPS as you can. And his next phase, if you can occasionally throw out a skill, great, but really want to just focus on dodging because all these shotgun projectiles from the snakes will shotgun.
Mm-hmm. With the the persistent damage and the instant nature of Vortex, as well as the long range of Creeping Frost, this is one of the few builds that can safely get some amount of DPS out onto the boss during the spit phase. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, spit phase. Yeah.
It's a rough way of phrasing it, but so that will make up for the relatively lower DPS that the Cold Dot is outputting compared to things like the Trappers that we've seen.
I don't love that he triggered all those snakes, but being CI, he can ignore a huge chunk of that damage. But they do some physical, so even if you are CI, you can't just ignore this mechanic altogether. But it does, to be fair, provide a ton of survivability against Hunter. It's strange seeing Carve not play ED. Fair enough. I mean, Carve does tend to have like he finds a build he really enjoys and perfects it over like a few leagues. He does actually have a build guide for this build in particular on his channel, and I think on Reddit and Twitter as well. So if you do like what you see, go check him out. This build is pretty damn cool and kind of. I mean, I'm a big fan of the General's Cry, but I really like this build. I'm a big fan.
And gone. Not a hitch.
No, just
didn't even see his. Well, I was supposed to say health move. Didn't even see his energy shield move.
Buttery smooth. We have a question for both of us, Octavian. Who do you think is the favorite to win in the current state of the field?
Lady.
Yeah.
I know he just ripped, and I'm still saying that.
Yeah.
He's got really good gear.
Yeah.
For a reroll, he's a very focused player, and he's extremely experienced at these boss fights.
I mean, like, look, the reality is his Ranger who's dead might still end up in the top 5. Like, I mean, forgetting his reroll, that will probably win the whole event. He might have 2 characters in the top 5 just based on his performance so far. Like, and he saved a lot of gear, if I'm not wrong, Octavian.
If I had to guess somebody else, if I had to give it to somebody else, it would probably be like maybe Steel next on the list. Steel's a very slow and steady player, though, so if he suffers a rip, I think he'll not be in as good a place to push back again because he's further behind in terms of content progression at the moment.
I actually, I think it's sort of a second place. I actually have Karn in the bottom left as my second pick. I know his build isn't as safe as Steel's, but I think Karn really preps for Gauntlet. Like he like as of like week 2, he starts training for Gauntlets usually in each league. He really loves the content. I think it's his time to sort of shine, and he might. I don't know if he picks it up at the pace a little bit, he might actually beat out Darky, get into the endgame content. But it's gonna be close. But I have Karn on his Oni build ranked pretty highly. I have a lot of faith. So
anybody believes in Chieftain Trapper to take it all home?
Believe, or I mean, is a strong word, but do I hope? Yes, I have a lot of hope.
I want to believe. I don't think I can make myself believe, but I want to believe.
I mean, look, I also think Carve's build might win the whole thing for Shadow. He might not win. He might not beat Lighty to rank 1 overall, but I think he can win his class, as well as. Although Exile is coming back, he is pushing again on his Shadow too. So a lot of competition there. Yeah, there's a lot of different players. It really depends if you're talking about winning overall or just winning your class. But yeah, Lighty's probably the favorite for me, and then a close second is Connor and his Onigoroshi.
Winning overall is less relevant this time around, though. There is a bounty for that I believe Lighty is the one who put together. So he might just be paying himself, so to speak, a nice little paycheck there if he makes it. Well earned, of course. But there are also prizes individually for each class.
Correct.
And that is the bulk of the prizing this time. So even someone who, even if Lighty makes it to the end and does cinch the victory and claim every point that he possibly can before the end of the event, that doesn't mean that, everybody else is going to suddenly stop in their tracks because Lighty's playing a ranger and most other people at the top of the ladder are playing duelists. So they're kind of just competing in a different ecosystem.
Exactly. I totally agree. I mean, look, Octavian, here's a question for you. Do you think that every class can do all the bosses?
Yes. Actually, yes.
You do? Okay.
I think every class can. I don't know that every ascendancy can, but I think every base class has a build, has an ascendancy and a build that can work in Gauntlet. I think Hierophant, you're going to have to be a really mechanically well-skilled player, but the damage is there with the totem build.
Yeah.
Marauder's a little rougher, but I actually think Lollygate can get the damage.
Agreed.
I think the Shield Crush is pretty good. You get consistent damage and very high block out of the Exsanguinate build for Scion, but I don't know if you get enough damage for endgame, so that's the one I'm kind of least confident in. I'm not super familiar with Scion builds in Gauntlet because you don't see a lot of them.
True.
So I don't know. I'm willing to concede that maybe Scion is going to have some trouble with endgame bossing. I mean, but that's just from lack of knowledge on my part.
I mean, look, I think if you can get the right cluster jewels and maybe a cold iron point, I think you can squeak out enough, but you're right. It's nowhere close to something like the 3 to 4 million or even 5 million that Lighty had. It is one of these spectral shield throw type situations where you're like, okay, I'm gonna slowly whittle down this boss over the course of this entire fight. It's not as clear cut as oh, okay, I can easily cruise through. I have the damage. No, you gotta play even better, right? Your defenses have to be defense have to be even stronger. And luckily, San is able to. Similar to Necromancer, get the life on block from Bone Offering and a Kappa block, and maybe get a ton of spell block too. But I think that's that's the only reason that you'll be able to compete on the stage. It's the same as Gladiator, right?
You can go a shield throw route with Scion, and I think one of the top 3 Scions is going for spectral shield throw. So it'll just be a really similar kind of bossing and playstyle to the Gladiators, with maybe a bit lower damage or maybe a bit worse clear. So yeah, if you're familiar with that build and you're familiar with the fight, you can definitely make it work. So yeah, I think every every class, every base class has a build that's viable enough in Gauntlet to do
everything.
Do I want to say all the content? Because Formed is on the list, and Formed might be a barrier that some builds or some classes can't break.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a Marauder build that can do Formed.
I feel like General's Cry isn't a bad it's not bad. It's not a bad option.
In general, I think General's Cry. I think it can. But can it with Solo Self-Found Gear and Gauntlet? It's a very different question. And I think Lollygate's going to have to get a much better shield and probably get clusters and maybe even get a hunter weapon in order to be able to attempt Formed. The DPS just isn't there now. That's not to say the damage is bad. It's just Formed is a huge hurdle to clear.
Yeah, it's definitely... The invitations are definitely a bit of a DPS check, right? If you not being able to clear, at least one of the first 2, quickly, is a big old try. I think, Octavian, you've just gone full blurry mode. I don't know if you want to...
That's weird.
Turn your cam on and off again. There, you're back, you're good.
Oh, I just probably moved too close or too far away from the camera and it had to autofocus. Sorry.
No, that's no problem. I think you're right though. Look, invitations are brutal, right? For a lot of different reasons. And I mean, it's also my favorite content in the game, by the way. So it's exciting. I'm really excited to see these players throw themselves at that content. But in the Gauntlet environment, if it was just the 40% life alone as a mod, it would make it incredibly difficult. But on top of everything else, with all the damage coming out, it's rough. It's really, really rough.
Yeah, it's I think the problem would be like the spam in the arena, because particularly with if we're talking about Lollygate's build in particular, which is where I'm coming from right now. You don't have the really powerful avoidance layer of tons of block or tons of dodge investment, like we saw Lighty have with his Raider attempt, or the Gladiators will have. So you have more of an onus to prevent all 4 of them from spawning. Oh, we lost somebody. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, we're
if you're looking at global chat.
No, we're looking at that's us on screen. Oh, even global chat. Jungrown.
Yeah, we lost Younggrown. No. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop in the middle of the thought there, but like that was.
Chat. Like he's listening to us.
I know. That's why I brought it up. Younggrown, my man.
That's and like he was saying, Cold Iron Point is a debate before. I guess I've been drinking the Route 2 Kool-Aid for too long, but oh my god. I was running Simulacrum. Oh, for the bounty, for the Wave 20, buddy?
Yeah, he was just saying earlier he needed some clusters.
Oh, God. Oh, that's...
I'm sad.
I mean...
It's a cool build. It's such a cool build.
Are you re-rolling?
Game?
Are you going for the rank 1 overall again? Just bored at work? Oh, okay. He says casually while getting, like, rank 1 sign and stuff like this? Okay, dude. just bored. I thought I'd run some Simulacrum in the Gauntlet. Sorry, I didn't have the adrenaline spike I was looking for, looking at Excel sheets. Oh, actually, you actually have all your gear right now, like saved or at or on your character that died. So Blimboy Slim, Jungrown, the guy who literally typed right above you in chat, he just died at rank like 30 or something. Sure, we can look at your gear. Oh, cool. If can we grab you on stream and like if you want to show us your gear, that's pretty cool.
How would that work?
I think he's gonna he has to stream and then we have to like pop him onto one of the 4 corners.
You can stream from work?
The man's living the dream, dude. Living.
I mean, I guess that's what I do. I stream from my work.
bit of a different situation. I mean, I guess if you're working remotely now, that's actually an option. One screen you got your Excel spreadsheet, crunching the numbers, data analytics. On the right, you're just, cruising through a terrace map.
Was that you who died, Younggrown, or was that someone else with the name Younggrown? Who was, like, alluding to you with their name?
Oh. There was someone else named John.
I'm assuming it's you.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's dead. Well, either way, I'm excited. Like, I'm Exile is just trucking along as well. With playing the patented Exsanguinate Trapper, which actually I'm Exile. Not I'm Exile. Lighty actually popularized it. I'm Exile jumped on the bandwagon, and Lighty's like, you know what, guys? I'm dipping out. See you later. I'm going Toxic Rain. Pretty funny. Yeah, someone died in the global chat, Jungrown. So we thought that was you. Unless you got a big fan, just like Octavian is Pac's #1 fan. Unless you got one of these guys. I'll go live in like 5 minutes. Oh, yeah, there's no rush, buddy. Like, you do you. For those that don't know, Jungrown is a really great content creator. Makes some insane builds. Definitely one of the better build makers in the community. But generally plays softcore trade. And so if you're looking for someone to like break the meta for you or crack open like the patch notes and like break it down for you, definitely a good option. Check him out. Give him a follow. It's him. Yeah, the character's on standard on his profile. Oh no.
Oh, I feel bad for Exile. He's ripped 2 6 links away at this point, I think. So he's down to a 5 link with this reroll.
Yeah.
I wish him good luck. The
Is he running a Cold Iron Point? I think.
I don't think he has one. He might. It is a dagger that he's holding. It's hard to tell what the sockets enabled, what the art is. I'd have to pull up his profile. But there is less of an impact to being on a 5 link on this build than some others because you have the double link setup. So you're still getting like that, maybe the 5 link Exsanguinate Trap in the chest and then a 4 link Seismic for a single target. So you can spread your damage out among 2 link setups. It's something that's typically done in Gauntlet where you won't have that 6 link guaranteed. It's something that Carve's build does extremely well.
Oh, well, I mean,
that's preference.
I mean, Carve, he spoke to us yesterday. He was saying having the double 5 link of the Arctic Breath and Cold Snap, Arctic Breath, Creeping Frost. I apologize. On like Cold Snap in his 5 link, it's actually 30 to 40% more damage than just having one of those skills 6 link.
And yeah, that is not a Cold Iron Point. That is a rare Imperial Skein.
Okay.
That is pretty basic, actually. It's +1 Fizz Gems and crafted spell damage.
Okay.
And that's it.
No, fair enough.
It does actually. It does technically have harvest quality for AOE, so he's getting 5% AOE out of it as well.
I guess those seismic traps need a bit of AOE. Gotta have that overlap, dude. Well, thanks for checking though. I appreciate that.
Sure, happy to. His gear is pretty straightforward along the all across the board. He does have a pair of level 22 trap gloves, which his exsanguinate is in. So he's actually got a 5-link seismic and a 5-link exsanguinate, which is rather nice.
No, you really like the extra. Either having the deer stalkers or having the trap gloves is a huge boon to that build and its damage output. And I think late game, like you might put the exsanguinate in the 6-link, right? But it is nice at least initially to have a 5 and 5 link, right? Just increases your clear, makes your single target really pop off. But you know, I'm not 100% sure how you look at that in the end game.
Usually the exsanguinate goes into the 6-link because you can get shaper gloves or helmet or something along those lines to get pseudo 5-link helmet or gloves. So you can get like a hypothermia hat, or you can get a base crit pair of gloves or crit multi pair of gloves, something along those lines, and then craft +2 AOE gems on them, or try to unveil it and get essentially a 6-link, like a 5.5 link worth of damage for your seismic, without having to compromise clear links for your exsanguinate.
As he talked about Exile, he's about to do a logbook, and I think I'm in the mood for some full screen action. Octavian, I just feel like again, I love the build, and we've been talking about it so much, so let's just see how he actually performs in a 77 logbook. Some of these monsters can get a little mental near the end of the chain, so you know, let's see where he's standing right now.
Yeah, I'm not able to see all the remnants on the screen, obviously. Yeah. I am curious as to which one he's going for. It looks like it's Essence remnants. He was trying to farm up, what was it? There's something before in a previous logbook that we saw him doing, but I must be misremembering.
Oh, we saw him. We saw Karn farming a lot of logbooks previously.
Yeah, I think I'm remembering the wrong player.
I mean, hey, look, it happens. We've been through. This is day 6, chat. So this is like what 30 hours worth of streaming in. Like there's a lot.
Is it?
Something like that. Yeah, this is day 6. I know.
I thought it was day 5. I'm losing track of time.
Time's flying, brother. No, it's definitely easy to get them all confused, especially because people are ripping, people are relevant new characters. It's tough sometimes to just keep on track of everything. I know myself, I couldn't do it without all the production, the whole team behind me, or yourself, Octavian. So, yeah, easily done. Actually, looking pretty great. You know what? I think that blind door is it's such a feel good stat, right? Just 50% chance to avoid at like all times.
He's got a couple of good fizz mitigation tools as well, because he has those unveils from previous runs. He was able to craft an endurance on both a ring and an amulet, as well as fizz taking his fire on the helmet. And that's the thing that Saboteur really does struggle with, is getting some decent fizz mitigation. So if you can find those stats through your gear, then you're pretty much set from that point. You've covered the main weakness of the Ascendancy.
I really like the Arctic Armor pickup as well. For those that don't know, about a week or 2 weeks into this league, GGG decided to buff Arctic Armor, so it now provides freeze immunity. So he is immune to Ignite, Shock, and Freeze because of his Ascendancy and that pickup. It's also just nice because you are standing still quite a bit whenever you're throwing or whenever you're using Vigilant Strike or anything like that. So you do gain a lot of physical mitigation and a little bit of fire mitigation when you do that. And the chill itself, just by running around, really nice as well. Although Skitterbots will provide that for you on single target anyway. It's really only chill and bleed that you have to mitigate. It doesn't sound that important. It's just chill. But in some of these later boss fights, the chills can be incredibly significant and, really locking your character down when that is the last thing you want to happen to avoid being one-tapped by some of these boss abilities. So.
And if you are going for, if you don't have stun immunity through some other means, so you're running Brine King, you can get the upgraded Pantheon for Brine King for 50% reduced effective chill on you, which is quite nice.
Oh, yeah.
It can be a little dangerous to get, though. It comes from the Reef boss, which is Big Crab. Big, large
Very,
crab.
very large crab. But thankfully, Seismic Trap does have a little bit of overlap. Hopefully makes that a little bit easier. But no kidding, that boss in maps can get out of control. So, I mean, I like to, whenever I do upgrade that Pantheon, I like to run that map either white or really, really easy. At the lowest level I can. Because it can just get out of control very fast.
And it does make a lot of sense that he's running the Grand Sun artifacts and prioritizing those wherever possible, as those can be traded into whatever you need.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll get burial medallions, and you can use those to re-roll Dan's inventory and then he'll give you more expedition logbooks to run, so you can run logbooks and get logbooks from your logbooks.
Yeah, we are back on the screen, and I'm gonna check Jungrown. We'll pop him in the rank position 4 here just to see if he's online. Not that there's a rush, buddy. Just thought I'd just check if he's there. Oh, he is online. Okay. Actually, we can pop him over on Karn's side, or actually we can go full screen actually if you like. Jung. Although I'm not sure we can turn the sound on. I'm not sure if you have DMCA music on or not. So.
And is this
maybe I was a bit
in standard then?
I was a bit preemptive with my full screen. I'll pop him back.
No, there's the simulacrum that killed him still open. So this is a reroll character that he's just using
fair.
to sort through his stash in the gauntlet.
Not fair. Yeah, if you could, Jungrown, yeah, that'd be awesome. Do you, if you don't have music on, I can actually put your voice on screen on stream, but if you do have music, obviously I can't do that.
Oh, is he rerolling Soul Mantle? Is it Soul Mantle Scion?
Mr. Madicky, could you check if his stream has music or not?
He got a Queen Sacrifice.
Are you kidding? Thanks, buddy.
Wait, I don't see the base shield though. I don't see the base.
Okay.
Does he have the shield to upgrade?
Corrupted Blood, Rain of Splinters. Okay. No music. Okay, cool. Let me pop him on then.
I don't see the base.
Okay.
Does he have the shield to
Oh,
upgrade?
oh, you're gonna hear me twice. Oh, maybe not.
Got this ring, got Torch Hook, got Soul Mantle, got this.
Oh, you're gonna hear me twice. Oh.
Got a perfect roll style flash. Like, I'm pretty confident right now.
You should be. Like that's damn good gear.
I'm using this shield. I'm not using this, but all like this set of shit is just disgusting.
That's damn good gear.
Like, the shield you go with what's her face, Gwenin, and you just Astrogali it. You Astrogali for this.
Mm.
Yeah, it is a pretty common shield, so I guess Astrogalis would give it pretty easily.
Uber is actually doable on FR Totem.
Yeah, it is a pretty.
But yeah, this is pretty much what I'm going for. What eye level is it? I don't even know. It's pretty high. It's like 60 or 70 or something. It's up there. But and then otherwise, I'm like pretty set. Otherwise, the only thing I need left is the helmet, and I'll probably just craft on this thing at the very end.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense.
Like I have
his gear looks pretty insane actually. Like
I don't know.
his
I can
reroll's ready.
re-level with this, right?
Yeah.
I can re-level with this combination here, and that's an option. It's like pretty big, especially if I can go like SST. How do I get the prophecy? I'm just a better player than you. I get the prophecy.
The confidence.
I could level with this.
How
well.
bold.
There's a lot I could level with. I mean, today will be fun to level with for sure. 54 is actually good. You can be I also have this thing too. I have a 775 face. There's like so many things I could level with that I want to go with, but I'm not super sure.
Maloney's is incredibly rare too. Like his okay, the dude's been farming. That's pretty insane. Thanks for sharing, Jungrown. That's really awesome. I have, you know what? I have full faith that you're coming back stronger than ever. Genuinely, I'm not just saying that. Like pretty damn impressive, man. We have muted you, so if you're talking back, I can't hear you, buddy.
We muted you. Get out.
Okay. Don't production has its own will, but Carve is going into a boss fight, so we're gonna jump off you just for a second, Jungrown. But yeah, very impressive. I'm actually really excited to see how you progress your next character. Yeah, should be really cool.
Damage.
Yeah, Carve making putting on a bit of a showcase how to sort of use these boss mechanics against her. When she is doing these wing swipes, you can stand literally right under her, and it makes it very easy to dodge and avoid. You just have to be aware that she will eventually do the spin dance, and then that will target you right beneath her, so you have to jump out of there.
I mean, slow and steady wins the race. Carve is very consistent at this fight, and the 25% chill that he's getting from his Vortex chilled ground is essentially bringing her right back down to where she would normally be without Gauntlet mods.
Yeah.
This is very comfy.
Damn comfy, actually. I don't know. I love this character. I think he's prepped so well, and I'm very excited to see him fight some of these endgame bosses like Cyrus 8, Maven, I really don't think like Uber Elder is going to pose a problem to this build either. It'll just be like maybe a DPS check, but the actual mechanics, like his build is tanky enough to sort of engage with the content.
This feels a lot like the ED builds we've seen from Carve in past leagues, but also it chills enemies. So it feels like the ED builds, but with better utility. So that's quite a compliment, because those builds did a lot of work in previous races.
Yeah. Wrathking is asking what skill is it? So it's actually a combination of 3 skills. He's using Vortex, the Vortex you see on the ground. He's using Creeping Frost and Cold Snap. So it's 3 separate cold damage over time skills. And obviously, being separate instances of damage over time, they do stack. So he is able to just walk over that because he has freeze immunity, which is really, really nice. And I think this might have been like an eye level 83 or 82 Veritania, because she looked really tanky there.
It's hard to say unless he hits tab for us. But yeah, Wintertide Brand is one of the harder cold dots to enable in this kind of setup, because Wintertide Brand, to be effective, really requires quite a lot of cast speed investment, and maybe even some brand nodes to like really shine, whereas those tools are not as useful for your other cold dots. Like, you want some amount of cast speed so that it doesn't feel terrible to cast your Creeping Frost or your Cold Snaps, but Vortex doesn't get anything from cast speed, quite literally, and cast speed is not a very good stat for the other two outside of getting enough that it doesn't feel bad to use. So there's just a lot more overlapping scaling. There's overlapping scaling between all of them, obviously. They're cold damage per time skills, but Wintertide Brand is more demanding, is I guess the way you can put it.
Carve is showing that like he was running like T15-16 maps, so this probably was like a very high level Britannia if he's running those. But but agreed, right? Especially about the Wintertide Brand. Brands in general require a lot of specific scaling, right? You probably want to grab the brand node that like have 1 extra attached, so you can have 3 total Wintertide brands attached, because Wintertide does at a base level allow you to have 1 extra. You need cast speed. You probably want to grab some of the brand nodes, and a lot of those things just do not convert over, as you said, to Vortex, to Cold Snap, to Creeping Frost. So typically, what we see with Wintertide Brand is you go heavily focus into it, and you might splash like a little trickle of Vortex into your build, but really the vast majority of damage is your Wintertide, which is why it does a lot less damage overall generally than a lot of other cold dot builds, because you can stack them with other builds, and Wintertide just feels like alone it doesn't do enough damage to do everything. It can, but like comfortably, right?
It's a lot
harder to get going, right?
More demanding. It's harder to get it to work, and honestly, the payoff is not really worth the investment at the moment. It could use a buff, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. We are on the bottom right. Just I always like to tell you when we go back. So
okay, pulling Garatha up on stream here as another cold dot player, but he's gone with an occultist cold dot, which does not have the advantage of being able to easily scale as much avoidance as Trickster through either dodge or block. I think you can get some decent amount of block out of it, but I don't know if Garatha's gone that route. Does, however, get supercharged temp chains and enfeeble, and is making those look real nice. These packs of mobs are barely moving.
I'm a huge fan of Blasphemy. I just like the skill gem. I just really wish it was 25% instead of 35%. I know, again, maybe that would make them too insane, but I feel like giving up your offensive curse in general is such a big opportunity cost that I would really like to see them reduce the reservation on it, just to make it fit into a lot more builds.
I'm curious when the plan is to swap over to a CI, or I mean, probably not low life in this environment. No. When the plan is to swap over to a CI variant of the build, as I imagine that's the goal. I'd be really surprised if he stays life-based through into red maps. But the progression on this character has been really quick. He was farming foothills with it yesterday, and he's up into, is that a level 78 zone? So high-tier yellow maps?
Yeah, 78, yeah.
That's quite a lot of distance to cover in the Gauntlet in a day.
Yeah, I mean, Garatha's fast, right? I mean, if it wasn't for some early rips, he'd be probably fighting bosses right now, alongside Lighty, right? The man is really good at the game, and maybe doesn't get the attention or notoriety he deserves. But definitely, if we can highlight how good this player is, yeah, he's won so many countless races, short and long, over the course of Path of Exile. But he has been playing from the very beginning, or close to. So a lot of experience with the game. Really understands the minutia is the word I'm going to use to describe. Understands all the minutia of the game, really, really well. Yeah. I'm actually just getting some doing Acton's Nightmare too. Just trying to get some more completion for Atlas. Obviously, just something you want to chase as you go up through the campaign. Through your Atlas progression.
Yeah, very safe map to do as well.
Oh,
The mob
yeah.
type are all basically just melee shambling zombie dudes. They
Agreed.
don't really pose much of a threat, and the boss is annoying, but certainly not deadly.
Well, especially with like when you have a lot of curse effect and you're fighting regular mobs, Enfeeble just becomes such a powerful tool.
This is a boss that is deadly, though, as this is the version of Valenta that shows up in maps. We'll get to see exactly how tanky Carv's build is here, though, as he's able to pretty much stand stock still in some of these abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Dodging around from the extra prods, though, that makes a lot of
I
sense.
mean, getting hit once brings him down to about 6,000, so really, just the one swipe can do 3,000. That's without even shotgunning, right? Thankfully, he does have a fair amount of spell block. He did have about 56 spell block yesterday. Maybe got his final cluster jewel. I'm not sure. But, yeah. Feeling pretty good in his frozen bubble right there.
In the ad phase, we'll let him refill on all those charges. And oh, the map has temp chains, too. Oh, this is such an icky fight.
Yeah. Just not fun. But I'm it's important to note that he didn't witness the fight either. This is not a boss you want to fight in your Maven trials or anything like that.
Nor do you want it twinned in the map.
And we actually see Jengron, he is just practicing in standard, so I'm gonna pop our faces back on, but just trying to get a feel for the Forbidden Right totem build, yeah. Which he has, as we saw, like a ton of gear with, and can level with a multitude of different skills, face breakers, exsanguinate, shield throw if he wants. Like he has a lot of different options in front of him, so it's gonna be exciting to see the progress.
Yeah, a
Very
couple of
exciting.
the core items, the reduced
yeah.
cursed rings. I believe he had the chest piece, right? Oh god, I've forgotten already. He had the prophecy for the Aziri shield, but I think the plan was not actually to use that immediately.
No, I mean, like, until you get like your levels up, right? It's better to just, it's like a headhunter, right? Like, why risk it before your character's sort of like set up and ready to go, right?
Can I leave the cast with you for just a minute, though? I gotta get up and run to the restroom.
Do your thing, buddy. I'll pop the cameras off so people aren't just faced with just me, and I'll see if there's anybody else online. Actually, you know, I think Lily is still online. Grab her, so we have some diversity with the builds. And Lily, rank 1 witch, by the way, everybody. So we're watching I'm Exile, the previous winner of the entire gauntlet. DSLA, the rank 1 witch, and Carve, who's currently the rank 5 trickster, but also, or I think it's the rank 5 trickster, but is also the rank 5 ranger, which he used to farm the gear up for this character. Feeling really buttery smooth, 9,000 ES, and a hell of a lot of damage. They're all sort of just making their progress. And chat, how is your gauntlet journey going? Are you just listening to the cast? You like our soothe and smoldering voices, or are you really trying to push into sort of grab these points? Or are you just trying to get level 90 to be in it to win it for those physical prizes like the $3,000 PC? Let me know. I want to hear from you. Died in Act 5 and gave up. Died at level 77 last night. Died Act 8 today. Sad face, very sad face for all of you. Made it to Act 8 copying Ziz's build. Awesome. Yeah, look at some of these players. If you can copy what they're doing, see how they're progressing their characters. Amazing idea. I died now. I'm back at 81, going for 90. My man. Good for you, Byro. Madison, haven't died yet, just never rolled a character. Well, yeah, that's the best way not to die, right? But you know what? It's also a free, fun event. You can just try and get past Brutus. I mean, that's a challenge in and of itself. Died to Arakali was sad back in Act 4. Hey, always time to get back on the horse. You're watching while playing Satisfactory. Amazing game, and I don't blame you for doing that. I was pushing to my graphics card died yesterday. No, come on, Rep Salty. That sucks. I'm so sorry to hear that. Hopefully you can get all your PC issues fixed. Damn. Oh.
I am back. I have returned.
Blue Senpai couldn't. Hi, Octave. I asked chat how they were doing, and I'm getting a whole host of rips and a lot of sad faces. Someone's PC died or graphics card, so there's a lot going on. Sadly, Blue Senpai couldn't get past Mudflats. Hey, you and a few other streamers. I don't want to put Gazzy on blast, but he was stuck in Mudflats for a couple hours. So you're not alone there, buddy. And that's someone with literally like 20,000 hours in game. Is one of these top tier content creators. So don't be too hard on yourself, my friend. Died in Act 4. Died to normal Lazaro. Wow. I'm trying to read them all, guys, but there are a lot of comments here. That ripped at 88. Oh, I'm so sorry. on Arcopunk. That is brutal. 2 levels before you can enter into the PC draw. But on the plus side, you've done so much work already on your account. You know, you've done Delve maybe. You've set up your Atlas a little bit. Hopefully you can get back on the horse and get level 90 before the event ends and you can enter yourself into that draw. Mid-Act 7 made it to the 74 and died. Oh, 82, just warming up. Love to hear it, Zish. Awesome, 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 guys. Died to a spider in Act 2. You and me both, brother. Weaver is a hell of a raid boss. Oof. You play on console? That's okay. You know, obviously we can't have the gauntlet on consoles just yet. And it's unlikely it probably will come to consoles, but you know, we're just happy to have you in chat supporting us and supporting the stream as a whole. Thank you so much.
Yeah, smoke mine and decoy totem. Those are the secrets for the early acts.
Even you can actually grab flesh and stone after you kill Fidelitas. So even if your class, like I know Marauder and Duelist might not get smoke mine, but maybe you can sacrifice 35% reservation and grab flesh and stone and stay near the boss. So a couple of options, hopefully. And stay near Weaver. If you can sort of hug Weaver for most of the time, you can avoid a lot of the a lot of her scarier abilities, like her EK and then the spider ball, or like the web, which actually does shotgun in the gauntlet.
You just have to use that new move skill that they added this league that I don't think I've seen a single person use.
Recall or something?
Ambush.
Oh no, okay.
It does blind the target you jump to. It's. Honestly, I forget it exists most of the time.
It's an awkward skill, Octavian. It's real awkward.
It's not like awful what it does. It's just kind of irrelevant a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't need to go off on that tangent.
Yeah.
I don't think you can even get it in Act 2 anyway, so the point doesn't really stand. It's just another source of blind.
Well, but it's similar to dash, right? Like if you in the sense that like if you have it on what's it called, like attack on move, you go backwards. It just because no other movement skill feels like that, and you always usually go where your cursor is pointing, I think it just takes a while to get used to, and it's something that I find it very jarring. But again, I know you said you didn't want to get into it, and then I immediately got into it, but now I guess we'll leave it. We'll let sleeping dogs lie. If it apply a link, I mean, look, there's a lot of things they could do, and look, GGG are aware of what skills are and are not being used. So, and 3.16 there's a lot of promises for 3.16. If they can I feel like GGG can and will deliver, but it's going to be a real struggle because New Zealand did just enter a lockdown, I think, a few weeks ago. I have a lot of faith in GGG. I know some people might not because of 3.15. I think it was a step in the right direction overall, even if some of the changes missed the mark. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what's coming in 3.16. I think there's a lot of great things. That new endgame content, maybe some balance patches, maybe a buff to some weaker skills. Just I'm gonna hold on criticisms until I actually see the patch, which is not easy to do when you care so much about something. And I think that's something that Path of Exile players have in abundance is passion. So I think GGG knows that, and I hope that comes through, and it's not just the toxicity. I hope they realize that we love this game, and sometimes people can get very heated about the things they care about. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to 3.16 overall.
On a topic that I touched on earlier with Garatha and not having the avoidance layer that some of these other builds have with block or dodge, he actually has on this life-based version of the tree gone for acro face acro on his occultist, which is obviously a little bit out of the way, but heading over to the right side of the tree, you can net yourself some pretty good things for a cold dot build. There's a good portion of damage over time scaling over there, things like growth and decay, as well as getting no witnesses for even more dodge. So he's actually got acro phase acro, a pair of Itziri's stat for another 14 spell dodge, a spell dodge unveil on his chest piece to the order of 13%, and a spell dodge shield. So I imagine his spell dodge is somewhere in the range of about 60%, if I had to guess. If we're, talking just like the flask buff and potentially some middling elusive from no witnesses, which is quite nice. It's a lot of avoidance while mapping.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, block and dodge, like we've seen it time and time again in the Gauntlet, and it's just proven to be such a powerful tool, being able to mitigate 100% of an incoming damaging hit, even though it's not, and it's very reliable, right? Especially for smaller hits. Sure, it can fail you on the big ones, but it's such a valuable stat to have that I really like the decision to stay like life based and then go down into acro. Maybe lose some ES. That's fine, right? Life typically is a stronger stat to have over ES. I know the ES numbers can get really, really high, 9,000, 10,000, but you have to be able to solve freeze, right? Which is based off your life. You have to be able to solve being stunned, which is based off your life, right? So if you don't have the tools to make CI work, like staying life-based and staying occultist is a really cool option.
I would say that the mapping survivability of this cold dot that Grotho is playing is kind of crazy high.
Yeah, agreed.
A lot of his defensive tools, the problem with them is that they're going to fall flat against bosses. He's got Temp Chains and Enfeeble, which are both less effective versus both rare enemies as well as bosses. He's got the Elusive on Kill, obviously not going to proc in boss fights, and he's got things like the Chill, though I guess that is fairly useful in boss fights, so some bosses in the end game cannot be fully slowed, so that will mitigate it somewhat as well. So his mapping is going to be extremely safe and comfy, and you can tell that just by the fact that his health barely ever moves.
Yeah.
And you barely even see the ward bubble get popped that he's rocking. But I do worry about his ability to earn points at the top of the Witch Ladder without some sort of respec to a CI version for bossing. But maybe he's gathering gear for that.
Yeah.
And this is simply the mapping variant because it is really, really safe for mapping.
Well, it's similar to... Okay, it's not the same, but it is similar to what Carve did with his Raider and is now onto his Trickster, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Like, he's using the life-based character, which is probably maybe a bit faster, maybe and more likely safer for general mapping, to just gear up for that CI transition or that low-life transition. Maybe he has his shabs, we're not sure. I doubt it, but maybe he's farming the cards, maybe he wants to farm it up over the next few days, who knows? And then transition late game into that ES variant. But just not having to change classes, right? Doesn't have the time to level a 92 character and then do it again. Just sticking with Witch and then saying, okay, well, I'll make that transition when I get there.
He did just get a Maven invitation for somewhere around like high yellows, which would be a little bit of bossing content, so he could see how it performs in that kind of environment if he chooses to run it. But it looks like he's putting it off for now, so maybe, rightfully so, a bit afraid of doing any sort of endgame, even an endgame approximation of bossing,
Yeah. I mean, look, and the reality is, like, Occultist gets a lot of... talking about the ES transition for a second. Like, Occultist does actually get, because he's cold dot, freeze immunity, chill immunity, and stun immunity. Right? So, like, those pieces solve itself, the ones that I brought up that are issues. But until you sort of get to that point where you can get, like, the 9 to 10,000, or a little minimum 8,000 ES pool, and maybe respec your Ascendancy, because I'm not sure what he's taking just now. I think he doesn't have the explosion, the Chaos Pops yet, but,
I can check for you.
I think I imagine he's gone the full...
Frigid Wake, so he's already freeze and chill immune, and Malediction for the double curse and the generic Malediction debuff, which, again, is another really useful generic mitigation tool for mapping. The sheer mitigation that this character has kind of belies its relatively small life total. It is a very tanky build for only having 6-point-something K life.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of the reasons you want to do the ES swap, though, because life can only push you so far, and ES you'd be able to break probably 8 to 9K, similar to what Carve is doing.
I'm actually, for some reason, I've just forgotten the numbers on Enfeeble, but it does actually reduce, at level 20, it reduces accuracy by 19%, and they deal 30% less damage. I mean, rares and Ukes deal 15% less damage, and they have, like, reduced effect of curses and stuff like that, but like reducing all damage taken by 30% on top of Malediction, which is another multiplier of 10%, like that's a massive layer of mitigation, and it affects hexproof enemies, right? Because he's an occultist.
A couple key things to note. First off, boss curse mitigation is not actually reduced. It's a less multiplier.
Sorry, less.
What I recall.
Yeah.
Which I'm not trying to rag on you. For
No. It's a very important distinction. Very important.
Yeah, I imagine that was just like being colloquial and using the word reduced like it's normally used. Yeah. But it is an important distinction within Path of Exile because it means that increased curse effect will not work on it. So all of the increased curse effect that Occultist is getting is still going to be useful against bosses, but is not going to be additive with the boss curse mitigation.
Correct.
Which means that you're still going to have a curse that does piddling amounts of things to most endgame bosses, which is kind of the weakness of this setup. And the second thing to note on the topic of the hexproof is that there are remnants that say you just can't curse enemies. but you're just gonna not click those.
Yeah.
It's not really that big a point because like every build has some remnants you just can't click because that was kind of the design of this league for some reason.
I mean, a lot of players kind of wish it was just like 90% like DR or something like, oh, it's like 80% like reduced effect or less effect. But we you know, we're living in a world where remnants can be essentially invulnerable to the mechanics you choose to build around. But I guess you just don't pick cold damage immunity or curse immunity, right? Yeah.
And you probably don't pick the ones that shred away all your fizz mitigation either.
That too.
Because we've seen that kill a couple people.
Yeah.
But the 10% reduced damage taken from chilled and curse monsters. Does that stack additively or multiplicatively? It depends on the wording. Let me see. Reduced damage. So reduced damage is additive. But you actually do want additive multipliers when you're lowering a number on an enemy. I won't go into the math because just spewing a lot of numbers is not very good shoutcasting, but or not very good commentary. But essentially, when you're trying to shrink enemy damage, reduced is really, really good if you can get multiple sources of it. Which is why they changed Fortified from a reduction to a less multiplier, because it was too busted being a reduced multiplier.
I mean, there's an easy example to give you actually. So if you had two 50% less multipliers, right? Which again, you're never going to get those, but two 50% less, you're only looking at a 75% reduction. But if those were both like additive, where they were reduced, you just take 0 damage, right? And obviously those numbers are outrageously high. You're never going to get sort of 50%, 75% reduction. But it just goes to show you that like these additive, or at least early on and later on, like they do scale so much harder because you're not multiplying like smaller and smaller numbers.
And there's an example of the bossing being uncomfortable. I believe that was a T11 or 12 map, and he had to log out in the middle of the boss fight. So that doesn't really bode well for the ability of the character to handle things like Shaper or Uber Itziri at the top end without a respec. But this version of the build does map extremely well.
Well, I also imagine like he's using the temp chains and the enfeebled because it's a great form of mitigation for now. He only has 6100 life, and like maybe he feels he doesn't need the damage for now. He can always just swap over to more damaging curses, right? He can use double elemental pen if he really needs it, right? But right now I think it's the right decision, and we'll see what he does. He might actually respec that node entirely when he goes to bossing, right? But although malediction is kind of insane.
Yeah, I think you keep that for the generic damage reduction. I actually don't think he's going to be respecting the Ascendancy because his last 2 points are into Vile Bastion.
Oh, are they? Okay. Sorry,
yeah,
I missed that.
presumably just for the stun immunity.
Awesome.
Because he's always going to have some amount of energy shield up.
Well, because it regens, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because he gets the 40 flat regen and then the 2% per kill recently. So
that's yeah. Hey, look, I love Occultist. It might actually be. If it's not my favorite, it's up there. I think it just does. It does what you want it to do. It does these things really, really well and really like consistently. And I really like that in the build. Like something like Elementalist, where you have these rotating buffs. I've never been a big fan of. Although they have mitigated that with like the Golem nodes and all this, but for a long time there, even though it was Elementalist was strong, I just like having uptime on everything. Like the Chieftain node that gives you fire damage added as physical, or physical damage added as fire. Like, but it's on a rotating 4-second buff over 10 seconds. Look, it's an incredibly good node, but I'm just not a fan of stuff like that. I just want to know I have the power. Like, turn on, please. Yes, you know.
In praise of GGG, I would say Occultist has had a very strong identity and
Agreed.
Has been very like
consistent,
focused in its design in every iteration, whereas something like Elementalist has gone through a lot of different identity crises over the years as to what Elementalist is supposed to even do and supposed to be, and you know, is still being shifted pretty massively up till this day. But Occultist has. There was that one big time where they took the thing that Occultist does off of her Ascendancy and put it on the passive tree, in the form of
the Dark Days.
What's the keystone called?
Oh,
the keystone.
Wicked
Ward. Yes,
Ward, yeah.
I don't play energy shield builds like almost ever. I really don't enjoy them. So there will be gaps in my casting knowledge or my commentary knowledge as far as energy shield specific things are concerned, because. Why would you want your life to be the wrong color? It should be red.
I mean, okay, so I would agree with you that general, like, well, okay, no, not agree is the wrong word, but I generally play life builds as well, and it's a comfort thing, when I have played ES builds, like they've been super strong, and you do get used to it. But as a reroll Richard, I do like to reroll a lot. So typically, I'm not playing an ES build. But
we have another boss fight to watch though. It's in the Discord.
Oh
if you
my.
want to time your playhead to the same as mine, and let me know when to click play.
Will do. Oh, it's Hajid again. This man's on a rampage. He's going to all the bosses today, and putting a lot of pressure on all the other gladiators. It's pretty damn awesome. Let me just switch the scene here, and I will click play in 3, 2, 1.
And this is a twisted fight. We've seen this player take down both Shaper most recently, and before that, Katarina.
And does have the Rislatha, by the way. Oh no, is that Rislatha or is that the Scorpion sister? I always forgot her name.
I didn't see quickly enough. The Scorpion one would make sense if it were upgraded, though, for maximizing the number of poisons that Constrictor can apply to you in this fight.
Well, I don't know if it was upgraded, but it definitely was that one that was clicked. The top
it
right.
used to be the take you took on basically every character because it could escape straight up poison immunity, but that has since been nerfed.
All right, Hajid. I don't like having the map open like that. But that's just me. But outside of that, really managing the fight, being able to keep the bounces on his Spectral Shield over and over again, stacking on both of them. Hopefully, he can get one of them down before the others pop. 10 seconds left.
Constrictor Purifier is Purifier early on is, I don't know if that's really what you want, because he's kind of the least dangerous, and you want to be able to get good DPS on one of the more dangerous ones early on.
Yeah.
But Constrictor can be rough if your Chaos Res isn't in a good place. I do believe this character is Divine Flesh, though, so I can't imagine Constrictor is the biggest threat either.
No. Yeah, if he, as long as you have the Chaos Res, he shouldn't pose too much of a problem. And as long as you can get like ignite immunity, which I believe we do know he is ailment immune. Obviously, Purifier just gets a lot safer as well.
Yeah, what you're mainly looking out for here is the proj overlap from Purifier at like max range. You can get overlapped by his toss, as well as maybe Eradicator, as that's a big zap from Eradicator.
Huge. Thankfully had his Molten Shell up, which had a big old proc over there.
Not logging. Life Flask is empty.
Again,
okay, he's got a couple charges back.
I mean, again, I want to talk about the flasks, but we'll talk about that at the end of the fight. Is able to just manage this super well so far. Obviously, Spell Block coming into a major effect against the Eradicator, not really taking any damage from the Lightning Tendrils. And I think one of the enemies is down.
Yeah, and I think Maven rolled Twins, rolled the Chaos Degen, which again, this is a Divine Flesh build, so that's actually a lucky roll, because that's going to do basically 0 damage to this character. And I didn't see what the third one was. And
I actually think the Spectral Shielder did amazing work. Was able to bounce between all of those bosses constantly, keeping them all DPS. I was really worried that the damage uptime overall on the invitations was going to be really bad for the Spectral Shield throw build, but looking fine. Only mine has -9 Chaos Res, by the way, which is really not bad at all. Like all things considered, right? I mean,
yep, this should be pretty easy from here on out. Just Eradicator is not much of a problem. As you can see, Max Block Gladiator can simply stand in the Lightning Tendrils.
Really just looking out for those big one-shot slams, like all these, if you can avoid that, he should be well into the clear. Yeah, this looks really good. I'm actually really, I don't want to say surprised, but I'm very pleasantly surprised at how smoothly this fight went. Yeah.
Just kind of waiting out the Eradicator. Doesn't have crazy damage, but has consistent damage and is quite tanky. And yeah, he's gonna win this war of attrition.
Oh yeah,
Gladiator should just give up, or not Gladiator, Eradicator.
Yeah,
should just give up and go home at this point.
I mean, the second he got the first one down, like it looked buttery smooth after that, and is also using Enfeebled. Like it doesn't matter if his fight takes an extra minute or two. In this case, like obviously I was critical of it in the Katarina fight, but against a boss that just probably doesn't have a chance to kill, does not have a chance to kill him, I like weakening them even more. As I say that, he applies vulnerability, but yeah, looking really buttery smooth here.
And he's just a few points off, catching up with Lighty, as Madaki is saying in chat. Yep. Lighty has died with 111 points, and Samaril Hajid is at 106. So just, I think you could make up that difference with 2 boss kills.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the Uber Elder is kind of like the scary one for this build, but Sorry, not Uber Elder. Uber and Ziri, but maybe can do the Uber Elder safer, right? Who knows?
This is, it's not surprising that Eradicator is the one who's last, though, as he does have a nasty habit of cleaning off all of the bleed and corrupting fever stacks every time he goes invulnerable.
Yeah. Just kind of just is able to just, well, as you said, able to cleanse those ailments every so often, but just means his uptime is just really low on the bleeds.
At least Maven isn't healing him.
I think she just did.
God dang it.
As you said
God
it,
dang it, Maven.
Literally as you said it, I saw the life bar go back up. So.
More fighting, more!
And there, okay, goes invulnerable. This is probably the last phase.
He's saying, oh my god. He's very annoyed at this.
I think he's like, please give me the points. Just let this be. And honestly, he gets him the Atlas points as well, right? So actually pretty important.
There we go. Eradicator is so annoying. But well done on the fight, and is going to get a couple Elder fragments and maps back, so that's going to help him towards Uber Elder if he is planning for that, and I imagine he is.
And gets the 3 splinters as well, which is a really nice little haul, because you do need to actually fight. Maven is a part of this entire thing. So, yeah, awesome. Congrats, Hajid, sorry. Very, very cool. Yeah, thank you for the content, my friend. That's actually pretty damn awesome.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody's going to try to claim the hidden bounty. We have to do, I think it's a 4 mod hidden.
Yeah.
Or 20 quant hidden or something like that. There's some minimum thresholds.
I think it's 80 quant, right? 4 mod hit 80 quant, I believe. But that's
yeah,
that's rough. I mean, I don't even know what you pick, right? You maybe do like more life would just get really scary really fast.
Garotha is heading into a Katarina fight. Might not be doing the fight. Sometimes people simply run the zone for the XP because it does have like a 200% XP multiplier on it. So we'll see whether or not we got debated very soon. Could just be here to kill the mobs.
Just for those in chat that don't know, Hajid also does have a headhunter. He's not using it on the boss fights, but when he is mapping, it is giving him a lot of survivability.
And yeah, this Katarina will not earn any points towards pushing the top of the ladder because it is not iolite 83, but it could very well have a really useful craft hidden behind it, or maybe there's a unique that he wants.
Thanks for chiming in, Carv. Apparently, Garotha is searching for the helm so he can get permanent stun immunity. Awesome.
There you go. It's a good reason to farm it.
We should get you on here, Carv. Come on, you're doing our job for us. Plus a wicked ward for life. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Apparently, Carv knows a lot about the cold up builds, guys. Apparently.
Nah.
Jokes aside, if you do have questions about that build, head over to Carvuska's channel and not only give him a follow for an amazing content creator, but he's incredibly knowledgeable about the game.
Even at level 72, he's going to have to be a little careful with some of the more spooky events that can happen in this fight. Things like getting teleports slammed or overlapping projectiles.
Or the skulls,
Yeah. It's a nasty enough fight that it's worth respecting even at lower levels. And he did get swiped earlier for about half of his health, but is running a couple of life flasks to have a lot of sustain in the fight.
Just for that just-in-case moment, right? So if you have like 2 instant flasks or 1 big recovery flask, maybe you can use it like a panic flask, so you can just get back up if your instant flasks are down. It's nice to have recovery options, right?
I'm really liking the combination of the temp chains and the chill, though, bringing Katarina back down to earth. She's moving slower than she does in a normal league.
Yeah.
Oh, is the temp chains even running on her? It looks like it is, but the visual... No, is that Despair? The visual looks a little weird. Is that temp chains? The chill, at the very least, is like a 24% chill, so that's slowing her down a lot.
He was running temp chains, but it might be Despair for the increased damage taken from over time.
Wouldn't you run Frostbite as a damage curse?
Yeah, would just be better.
No, there's definitely Enfeeble, but it looks like there's a second curse, and I can't quite make out what it is.
And it's a purple curse, so... Yeah, he is running 2 on his Blasphemy, for those in chat that are unaware. It looks like Despair. Oh, maybe, you know what? It could be maybe the sockets. Maybe he doesn't have a green socket for temp chains.
Maybe. It's like behind the visual for the Enfeeble, so it's a little hard to tell. Yeah. But even the chill alone, like I mentioned, is
smart.
Okay. Yeah,
really
log
smart.
that. That was 3 different warps on that teleport slam. If that connects, it's a one-shot.
For sure. Is it Malediction? I didn't think Malediction had a purple icon above the head. I mean, either way, like if he gets hit by that triple flicker, like you're dead. It's also gonna hit half the screen, by the way.
Yeah, that's gonna have a massive AOE.
Like just
oh, look, there's Katarina.
so just flame dashing up was not an option. I 100% agree with the log. It is malediction. Oh, okay.
Well, the reason it was so dangerous is because he flame dashed initially, maybe not realizing what it was that she was doing. Shouldn't have any difficulty getting back to the fight here. Is probably going to want to sit still for at least a moment, though, just in case she's still in the wind-up phase for her teleport when you enter the arena. I'm not sure whether it would have resolved or not in the time running up.
Not that I didn't believe chat, but I did just check the malediction. That is the malediction debuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I had full faith, but just to satisfy my own curiosity, chat, I had to check. Looking really good. Obviously, like, look, even if it's not temp chains, we know it isn't. Like the huge slow he's being able to get from his vortex, it's just as you said, bringing it back down to earth, making sure she's actually doable. That the turbo mods aren't affecting him too much. Looks really smooth.
There is a skull that he missed.
Yeah,
there's a crawling skeleton coming towards him. I don't think one is going to kill him at eye level 72 though.
No.
And it's easy enough to kite out, so he'll be perfectly fine. Just gonna take Jorgen for a little walk.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out for the triple kick that he does there.
His DPS is good enough to maybe even do this in an area level 80 zone or something like that. Like, it's looking really good. So, and level 72 should not be a problem. Again, as Carv said, farming up for the helmet. So if we can get it on this try. Cold Dot, Michi Bird. Okay. Doc arrive. Yeah, love to see it. Awesome build. So much fun to play as well. If you haven't played it, it's a pretty unique playstyle because Vortex is like this instant cast and you're like running through. It's kind of like a pseudo RF. Sorry, I know, I'm talking. I know.
That was kind of scary there.
Yeah,
that was.
flicker.
I think that was another teleport slam, but
Yeah.
he waited on the shield or the flame dash that time.
Yeah. All right, well, here we go. So let's pray for a helmet for Garatha. Oh, gets it.
Hey,
Easy.
nice.
Fantastic. I mean, after Carv's terrible RNG last league, had to kill about a dozen of them. It's nice to see somebody actually rock up and do it on the first try. Or maybe, what I'm assuming is the first try. I think.
Yeah, we haven't seen another one, but
Yeah, actually, Carv DMing Garatha GG. I love a bit of friendly banter. Always good. Always nice to see like these competitors just have like they have a really good relationship with one another. I know.
Well, they can be friendly because they're on different ladders.
Very true.
One's a shadow and one's a witch. It's okay.
I know.
If he were playing Trickster Cold Dot, though,
Maybe he wouldn't be as happy. Like, you know.
knives would be out, teeth would be bared, gauntlet would be thrown.
I see. It's cool to see that some of these players actually do theorycraft together. Maybe not all of them, but they do bounce ideas off each other's heads. I know Exile and Lighty are actually really, really close friends. Both of them, their WoW days, not that they play together, but they both play WoW, and they both are obviously incredible Path of Exile players, so it's cool to see that, they have this, like, friendly rivalry as well, where they can sort of be like, oh, what do you think about this? And then it's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to yoink your build. Debated, I'm actually playing Toxic Rain. You know what I mean? Got him. Yeah. Oh, look how
it wasn't. I don't. It wasn't some like huge secret.
No.
He did do a couple of practice runs with it on stream.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're both on limit. Okay, I didn't realize Exile was on limit. I thought it was, for some reason I thought it was on a different one. So I guess Lighty's recruiting in the Path of Exile community. So yeah, pretty cool.
I wouldn't be able to correct you on that one. I have played a total of 15 minutes of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, Darky vouched them. Yeah, okay. I mean, I only sort of follow like the World First pushes and stuff like that. I never got into the game myself. I was a Guild Wars 1 Andy or Gerard. But yeah, really cool that they have this really great friendship. But I think that is funny though. Like he popularizes the trap build, and then he's just and Exile keeps dying on it. So yeah.
I'm curious to see what the unveil choice is for Garatha on the helmet. I don't have all the options memorized.
You know, we can full screen it if you like.
It's gonna take him a minute to fully loot here and get back to his hideout, but I'll be able to keep an eye on it in the background and let you know. I'll inform you once I have the information.
Darky and Lighty are the same person. Yes. I get that. I sometimes say Darky, sometimes I say Lighty. That's just my mistake because I know his name in most games is Darky, but on Twitch it's Lighty. So. But they are, yes, one and the same person. So I'm actually, you know what? After this, I would love to run a little ad break from our CEO.
Sure.
Just in a second. Yeah. So let me pop that on just now, guys. Or you know, we'll wait for Garatha to do his unveil. That's all. That's what I'll do.
All right, let's put it to full screen then.
No.
Let's see what he gets on the hat. Come full circle with the loot.
Don't start with the belt, Garatha. Don't tease me. Don't blue wobbly here.
I started with the weapon. He's doing hat last.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he's not even doing hat until he knows what he needs. No, he's going for it. Hybrid Chaos Res?
Yeah,
probably?
Chaos Res, yeah. Not bad. Like, it's probably not what you want to see, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing the Devouring Diadem, I don't think you're going the CI route. Obviously, You're going EB. EB CI is maybe not the best build.
Hey, look.
Apologies to anyone who was madly theory crafting that.
Actually,
I think there's a problem in your concept.
Actually, were the stats better? Because he's gonna be CI, right? I imagine.
Well, we won't be using that. You go EB CI, you have 1 health.
True. Yeah, no, you're right. I'm getting all my things mixed up. And I will, I'll toss us over to the CEO himself. 3, 2, 1. Enjoy, chat.
Hi there! I'm an advertisement. Nobody likes advertisements. What about advertisements with Zizaran in it? Nope. Guess I'll leave then. But not before telling you to go to shop.zizaran.com and buy a Gauntlet t-shirt to support everything we do with events. Thank you for the support, and I hope you're enjoying watching the Gauntlet. Shop.zizaran.com. Buy merch to support the Gauntlet. This is a threat. Don't sue me, but it's still a threat. Thank you. Nice.
Wow. What a boss. Threatening chat to give us some merch. No, we love him. Thank you, Ziz, for that impromptu commercial break. Love to see it. And obviously, look, the supporting the stream, supporting the cast, supporting the event, like there's a lot of time and money that goes into something like this. A lot of players individually. I know even the actual prize pool itself is crowdfunded from you guys. Although Shopify Rebellion will match it, doubling it up. So if you do want to donate to that, there's links. I'm sure being spammed by Mr. Madiki as well. But it is all actually like funded by the community, and then obviously doubled up by Shopify Rebellion, who provides the vast majority of the prizes. So really cool, and thank you for all your support, guys. It actually means the world to us. We couldn't do this without you guys, and we're so happy that we are able to. So if you want to see more in the future, please let us know. If you have tips or you have things you want to change about the cast, or you want to change about the Gauntlet, DM away. We want to hear it. Your voice does matter. So let us know.
And many thanks to Redbull as well for sponsoring the cast. That's why you've got our voices on mic and our faces on screen whenever we are. I don't know if we are right now.
And thank you for sending me this beautiful fridge filled with lovely, delectable Guarana infused Red Bull. Delicious. The best.
We got some crafting from I'm Exile. It's about as exciting as bossing, right? It's the same. He's crafting a Elder leather belt, it looks like here. Maybe looking for percent life would be my guess. That's got real high fly life on it. So does that. And fizz damage and chaos res. Dang. That's a sick belt. He's doing a pure fizz build. That's a really sick belt.
That's huge.
Nope, he rolled up.
That's not bad either. The chance to not use flask charges is actually a really nice stat. Not something you can rely on, but it might just give you that. It might proc that one time you needed to, like in a big boss fight. So, no.
Yeah, I'm just surprised he rolled over the previous belt, but that is a fairly solid one. He has a 6-link in his inventory, or in his stash as well, so he does have that upgrade to swap to whenever he feels comfortable doing so. Maybe he doesn't want to risk losing it in early levels, or maybe it's just not fully done crafted yet, we're not sure. Is going to keep going with the belt, though, rolling past that. Does get some melee damage. That isn't going to help him too much.
I imagine specifically wants the life recovery overall, right? And maybe some more mods, maybe like percent life as well. Like he's getting pretty greedy with it, but I don't blame him for that either. I did actually have another incoming message from production we have a transmission from the CEO himself. Another one. Sorry to interrupt, guys.
Lighty has died in the gauntlet. He's one of the main competitors. Everybody thought he was going to win. He still might. It's Lighty, Darky. He wins everything. He's a god. So, hope you guys are enjoying the gauntlet. If you are, shop.zizaran.com. Buy some merch.
Yeah, definitely just made on the fly. We did just see Ziz make a commercial about Lighty's death. I maybe should have played it earlier in the day, but it was I just remembered now. But pretty cool that we have these like fun little things we can bring to you guys. Ziz did die as well, but he's back on the reroll. Hopefully, gonna level up his Templar really fast and will be not live immediately after the cast today, like usual. He is gonna be on a couple hours later. So probably, I don't want to promise anything, but like 3 to 5 hours from now. But we will be ending stream in about 40 minutes. And then, yeah, hope that there's tons of other content creators out there you can go watch. We love them all. They're all friends of the cast, so, yeah.
And at least some small success from the, when I say small, it's a pretty big upgrade going from a 5 to a 6 link, but not successful on the belt crafting.
Mm-hmm.
Exile is still successful on rolling a pretty nice 6 link for himself. No crazy influence mods or anything, but a solid rare 6 link nonetheless with room to craft. I think that was dodge or percent life. I couldn't quite read it quickly enough.
Yeah, he hovered over it too quickly as well, but agreed. Like a 6 link is huge, right? Especially breaking into like red maps, even into like late yellows. In 3.15, I really felt that I needed it, especially when. Especially early on in the league where you don't have like the best weapon that you really want or something like that.
He was hovering over everyone in his friends list to try and sap RNG from them before chanting a bunch of Ezomite daggers to get a cold iron point.
Yeah.
He did not sap the RNG hard enough.
And I know Jungaron said it is a bit of a debate, but at least early on it's incredibly difficult to replace that. Like it's a huge amount of DPS increase, like 30-40% more damage.
I think Youngrun was talking in the context of the like slinger slash. You wouldn't go slinger with a cold iron.
No, we can't.
But in the context of the dot scion, whereas with the trapper, it's not quite the perfect weapon. I think you can min max it further, but it's pretty much the best you're gonna get in the context of this event.
Oh yeah, I mean it also, don't forget, it also affects your seismic trap as well, right?
Yeah, everything. As the only downside would be like you can't gain as extra, so you can't do like, I don't know, a shaper weapon if his gain is cold or a taste of hate, but you're probably not going to have those things.
Actually, he's jumping into a Maven fight, so I'll transition us over to full screen. It is only a 5-way, 4-way, 5-way.
It looked like 5, but counting is difficult.
It is 5. Yeah, I noticed on the bottom, so looking pretty good. Look at that seismic trap. The AoE is huge with those overlaps as well. Able to just chunk down these bosses.
If he can get the cold iron point, I believe it will push him to another point of radius from levels, so it can get even bigger.
Yeah.
Even larger.
That is such a fun button to press, similar to Val DD. It's just like a... Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. It's okay. So that is a really dangerous boss to have in there, because the Fizz Dot is something that Saboteur mitigates incredibly poorly. You don't have great passive regen unless your traps are triggering all the time. You're spending life for your traps, so you're already working at like something of a slight deficit there. And on top of that, the if you're not close enough to be blinding the enemy, which is very often the case with these sky lasers, then you're not getting your generic mitigation.
Yeah.
So it's really tough to deal with that, unless you can just tap that boss down real fast.
Yeah. Actually, this might even be a 6-way. I could have been wrong.
There's 2 Fizz Dot bosses in here.
Oh
This
my
is a
god.
very dangerous fight for a Saboteur, but Exile is he's a good player. He gets through it.
Big claps. I see that.
He's standing on another dot. That would have been a hell of a way to go. He realized.
Yeah, so that is his 5-way. So it's because you go 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 3, 4, 5. So
He's going for another one immediately after. He was saving these up for the 6-link upgrade, it seems like. He threw that on and then immediately is doing a bunch of Maven bossing, which makes a lot of sense.
Makes a ton of sense. Checking which bosses he has. I mean, obviously, if you're saving them, you might just forget. So, just refreshing his own memory. I really, I like the. I really like the minimum endurance charges too. Just the extra 8% Fizzmate is just kind of nice. Helps with those dots, but as you saw, like definitely not enough of a barrier.
A couple of things to be scared of here. The monkey boss, who he's focusing down first, and that makes a lot of sense, does provide a physical damage aura that'll affect all the other bosses. So getting him out of the picture early is a really good idea. And the pagan bishop of agony, who's the one in the middle of the arena right now, if you curse him, he will do a giant nova that does some chunky damage. Does get stunned by a shield charge from the Roa, and logs as a result of that. Wasn't actually too crazy low on health, but you're stunned next to two bosses. Yeah, logging makes sense.
Like that pagan boss, I find like just so much that you do not want to let him just get near you. If you can just kite him around, all the better. But this Roa just going hog wild on the whole situation, but able to take him down as well.
If you do have really big problems with the pagan boss, the pagan bishop of agony, I think his name is. There's a few iterations of him, so he has a few names. Don't curse him, and then he will never do his nova, and the nova is the really big damage ability.
Probably what I've been doing. I honestly didn't know that. The more you know.
He will only use that. He has to cleanse a curse in order to use the ability. It's the same ability as the prophesied version of Geoffrey's Maul. I forget what it's called, but the one that fires a nova when you have a curse on you.
Yeah.
So it's that same ability, and it has the same stipulations. He needs to be cursed to do it, and then he's invulnerable to curses for 4 seconds thereafter. So he will never spam it, because he can do it at most once every 4 seconds.
I've just left Alan Exile on screen here, full screen, because
he's doing it at Ziri.
He's doing it at Ziri, right? Which he might not have done yet on this character, so this could be actually for points as well.
And the trash is chunking away at him here and there. I can't imagine his Chaos Res is amazing. It's also just tons of proj spam. But his damage should be enough for this.
For those unaware, he is saving a lot of those mobs on purpose, because he is running Val Grace. So if he does log out of the Aziri fight, he can go back and get souls for his Val skill. I mean, he's killing most of them, because he has to actually sort of get to the bosses, but if he can leave a fair number, like that's the reason he's doing it.
And he's going to start prepping now. These guys can take a long time to spawn. So oftentimes you'll see players go for a kill on one of them like as soon as possible if they can prep their damage. But in a dangerous environment like Gauntlet, you want to split your damage between both, because once you kill one, the other will be enraged, and you want as little time enraged as possible.
Amazing.
Ideally, you do that. Yeah.
They died within seconds of each other. Like, that's perfect execution. Really fun.
Yeah, that was incredibly well played there.
He's level 91. So this is his third character, above level 90, by the way. So really going for that PC, apparently. No, this man is incredibly fast, and I know Lighty's spoken about it multiple times. Yeah, he can zoom, as it turns out. He can re-level incredibly quickly. He knows how to get through the campaign. He knows how to gear characters efficiently. As it turns out, if you win the Gauntlet at least once, you're a player who actually knows what they're doing.
And in answer to the question, yeah, it's Seismic Trap with Exsanguinate Trap for clear.
So he's not focusing on the dot damage of Exsanguinate. Sure, it helps and does a little bit of damage, but the actual on-hit damage of Exsanguinate is actually fairly high. And if I think about 1,000 average damage at level 20, so it's nothing to be scoffed at. And thank you for the sub, Monkey Drools. I really appreciate the support.
Yeah, it's also used in large part for its behavior with chain, making it just a really powerful, clear skill for Fizz trappers. Basically, Seismic Trap is really, really strong since the buffs, and you need something to clear with if you want to use Seismic Trap, and Exsanguinate just is the best candidate for that.
Fits the bill. Yeah. It's a shame about the Reap's sort of cone AoE. Like, it doesn't attack anything in it, because otherwise it might have been used. But Exsanguinate just it's physical arc. Right, if you attach chain to it, so it just feels really, really good. I'm surprised actually he's not changing out the chain link out of his Exsanguinate. It's essentially a free swap to Swift Affliction.
Yeah, if you're scaling the dot, you can do that. You can do hypo if you're scaling the hit.
Yeah. Hypo as well, yeah.
Since you have skitter bots, assuming you're not already running hypothermia.
Yes, exactly.
It's not really necessary. I think he is fairly strong for Aziri, even in Gauntlet. He has to be wary of getting one-tapped by a super fast Flame Blast or something like that, so there's still the risk of death here, but I don't think damage is going to be his issue.
And of course, if you're unaware, chat, obviously Aziri does have these reflect phases, but traps are immune to reflect.
Well,
you don't get... Yeah, okay. The traps themselves are not immune to reflect, but you will not take damage. You will not
reflect is irrelevant.
Correct.
Traps.
Exactly. The character will not take damage from traps doing damage.
There's a few things to be careful of, though. If you're doing Ice Trap and you're using Frost Bomb, you casted the Frost Bomb. So if you're doing Enziri and you have like Frost Bomb on a trigger weapon, that can kill you. That has killed people in our events before.
Yes.
The spiciest rip I've seen in Gauntlet was not to Enziri. The spiciest rip I've seen in Gauntlet with like Reflect on that sort of topic was back when Icicle Mine was like really strong. So I think like basically Metamorph League. There was a player playing Icicle Mine who had a trigger weapon with Frost Bomb, and they were doing a blight, and it was in a Reflect map. And they actually tested like the Frost Bomb, and it didn't kill them. They had a low-level Frost Bomb, it didn't kill them in a Reflect map. But they had recently changed one of the blight bosses. It's the one that splits, and when it splits, it takes increased damage. And because it split into 8 different copies of itself, all of which took increased damage, that was enough for the Frost Bomb to insta-kill him with Reflect.
Brutal. But that is really tough.
Like perfect storm of awful aligned situation, and like GGG actually made that change because that boss was too difficult for most builds. Otherwise, it was overtuned, so they had to nerf it.
Gets the ring, by the way, which is insanely rare.
Yep.
Insanely
the ring
rare.
is probably the rarest drop.
It is.
It's also the least useful one here, though.
Insta-sell, yep. And does get the mortal fragment as well. Nice.
If you're not running Brutality, you could use the Flask, and obviously on any dodge-based Saboteur or Raider or something, the boots are amazing. So, like, the ring is really not what you're hunting for, but well done on the fight.
Awesome. Fantastic job. Really good job. And we did have a question about, like, someone mentioned, like, I mentioned Reflect, and they didn't realize that was a thing in Enziri. There's a ton of guides on Enziri on YouTube. I'm sure Octavian might have one. I'm sure Ziz might have one. Because it's an interesting boss fight. Like when she splits, there's one of the 4 Enziri's makes flame blasts, one makes storm calls, one shoots at spears, and the other one's just holding up a mirror. That's the one that has Reflect. But Enziri also, in and of it herself, has, I think it's a 1 or 3% Reflect regardless, just built into her kit. So a couple things to be aware of in that fight, and even getting into that phase, like trio and stuff. There are certain strategies. So if you want an in-depth guide, there's tons around, and go check them out. 2%. Okay, it is 2%. Thank you, Shadow.
Which is not relevant for most builds. For most builds,
No.
like some source of leech or life gain on hit or something will counteract that. But if you are playing a build that,
Does millions of DPS.
yeah, you have all your buffs up and you do a burst of like 30 million damage all at once, yeah, you're gonna insta die.
Oh yeah, it's unlikely that'll like the built-in Reflect is gonna hurt you. Like generally, as Octavian said, like your regen or your leech is more than enough to mitigate it. But yeah, just be aware, especially on hardcore. The more you know, the safer you are.
Worth mentioning is the Enziri in Feared does not have Reflect
Correct.
at all.
Yeah.
She did initially, and then that was kind of BS, so they took it away. Also, in just on the topic of Reflect, since we don't have any boss fights happening, I may as well be a little bit educational.
Do it.
The general that spawns in one of Azaro's phases, the Ice General, and the Racecourse mini-boss no longer have Reflect auras. That was changed a couple of leagues ago, and instead now when you damage them, they will charge up a Nova projectile ability. So you don't have to worry about dying to those guys to Reflect. The Nova on the Racecourse boss can do some pretty significant damage at high levels, so it's still dangerous, but it's not Reflect.
Yeah, no, it was removed. Not in 3.1. I think it was 3.14 actually. It was like the patch before this one, right?
Yes, 2 leagues ago, I believe.
Yeah.
It was removed within the patch that Maven was introduced.
So 3 leagues.
Because the Maven fight could summon Racecourse, and then the Racecourse boss could do Reflect, and then you could just lose.
Instantly, yeah.
Maven can still summon the Vault Temple boss, and the Vault Temple boss can instantly Rain of Arrows you and basically kill you with no counterplay. But I guess that's not Reflect, so it doesn't have to be changed.
Hey, yeah, I don't. No comment. No comment on that one.
The CIP in I'm Exile stream means Cold Iron Point. It's a very powerful unique for the build that he's playing that he has been desperately trying to get for the whole league and has not seen.
Which is really surprising considering he's had 3 level 91 characters. It's not really that rare of a unique. I mean, it's not common either, but
It's mid tier, yeah. It's
just considering that he's rolling with Gwenin, he's actually doing like chancing with scourge and everything. Like he hasn't seen, which is an unlikely route to get it, but still an option. Just look, RNG is RNG, right? SSF can sometimes it can just kind of screw you. Like I know there's a lot of players actually don't play SSF, or they've mentioned, oh, I stopped playing SSF because I was looking for this 1C unique for like 2 months and I didn't get it, and never again am I going through that. But it is a fantastic way to play the game. If you haven't given it a shot, or you haven't given Gauntlet a try, it's a pretty damn unique experience, especially if you're just playing like softcore trade and stuff. Being subjected to like hardcore rules and like having to be very aware of the content you're about to engage in and having to plan your character and your defenses is a lot of fun. And if you haven't tried it, like, please do, you know.
And in response to the person asking in chat if the Vault Temple boss has Reflect, the Vault Temple bosses, there is one of them that I believe gets a Thorns ability, which is very similar to Reflect, but in some cases is more deadly. Because the way that Thorns works, it's a similar thing in that you hit the enemy and then you take damage, but Thorns is a flat amount of damage that the enemy returns to you on any hit, which means if you have some ability that's like super rapid hitting, then it doesn't matter if your rapid hits are doing 100 damage each. They're going to return the same Thorns damage as if you're doing 1,000,000 damage each with each hit. So even if you're playing some build where you have like Cyclone for utility, like a cast wall channeling setup, if you are spinning on a Thorns enemy with that, you are going to get shredded just as well as if you were doing 1,000,000 DPS versus a Reflect enemy.
Yeah. No comment.
There's not that many sources of Thorns in the game either.
Very few.
Like there's
Shavs?
Lightning Thorns on Shavs. Yeah, there's I don't even know what kind of Thorns damage it is, but I believe one of the Vault Temple's bosses has Thorns. It might be Fizz, it might be Fire. I can't think of any others. Thorns is not something GGG has put in a lot of places in the game because it's kind of just a death sentence to various build archetypes.
I think it's also as the game's progressed, and like obviously our damage has gotten like insane over the years, and not just like the individual damage hits, but how like just the damage per second, right? Like Thorns used to be something like that. Okay, like I'm only hitting once every 2 seconds or once a second with my like cleave build or something. Okay, oh, I see she has the Thorns on now. I got chunked for half my health. Okay, I'll ease on back. But the speed of gameplay now is so high that realistically, outside of maybe like Shavs or like or the other specific Thorns you mentioned, like unless you know it's coming and it's very clearly indicated, it's not even the players aren't even interacting with the mechanic. It's just, oh, I'm DPSing, suddenly it's up, I'm insta-dead. They're not able to play around it because our builds are so out of tune with some of the older content in the game.
The most recent addition to the game or recent change that could be qualified as Thorns-esque would, I guess, be like elemental or physical Thorns, which took the place of old Reflect. And those are a much more engaging and fair kind of mechanic, where it's like you hit the enemy and it does fire something back at you, but it fires something back with a cooldown, and it's a projectile with an AoE explosion that you can like avoid if you're playing well and moving constantly, as opposed to the Lightning Thorns, which is you take damage.
Yeah, it's just
when you hit them,
yeah,
you take damage. Yay!
And I don't actually mind it so much in the campaign against Shavs in Act 4, because you're never gonna one-shot yourself unless you're like, I don't know, unless you're going back in the content. Like realistically, when you reach that content, you're never gonna one-shot yourself. So it's just like gonna tick you once or twice. Oh, okay, like the big scary bubble. Like I shouldn't attack it when that's on. It's very obvious. So because that's brought to the player's attention so early on, whenever they see you in maps, they're aware that that's an option. So I'm fine with that. But it's when it's sort of like not telegraphed or not easily accessible, or like not it's hidden away in some like boss fight, like the Aziri 1 or 2% or whatever, which is not the same thing. Like, you know, we talked about how it's mitigatable, but like that just doesn't feel good to me as a player when it's sort of these tucked away mechanics that can just one shot you. I don't mind interacting with things, but when it feels just like 0 to 100 sometimes, that's less fun.
And one final thing on Aziri, she also has Curse Reflect.
She does, yeah.
Yeah. If you cast, like manually cast any curse on her or anything like that, you will be cursed with the same curse.
Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, like Aziri has like all, it's also because she's one of the older boss fights. I think a lot of veteran players take for granted the knowledge we have about that boss fight or about other boss fights in general, and it's one of these things that like whenever we bring something up like that in the cast, or that Doedri sucks up the curse and she gets unholy might from stuff like that, like all these. There's a lot of mechanics that we take for granted that we just know. I'm like, oh, everybody knows this. But the reality is the vast majority of players only started in the last couple of leagues or in the last year and a half.
Wait a second.
No, they haven't been here for years?
No, you're right. Sorry. I'm distracted, as per usual. That's not a chieftain that Rise is playing.
No, okay, I'm actually done with the cast. Are you telling me he's running Berserker?
No, that's...
Or it's Jug?
I think it might be a Scion. It's hard to tell. There's a lot of MTX going on.
Oh, okay.
It's re-leveling. It's not a chieftain.
Well, he did...
He re-rolled.
Because he was running the Chieftain Trapper, but he did have a level 20 Scion when he found the Brutus Lid Sprinkler. Has he gone back to that character?
I don't know. Did he die? Did he dead?
Because he had a level like 30 Scion or something when he found the Red Sprinkler, and I thought maybe he just deleted the character, but I guess he just saved it.
Chat, did man go to standard? He was just bored. Okay.
Okay. That's fair. Again, I talked about it day 1, I talked about it day 2, and I'm going to talk about it again on day 6. If you're not enjoying the build you're playing, you're not going to be able to compete on this stage. Sure, you can power through for a little bit, but if it feels like torture to play and you're just not enjoying yourself, like that's not good. I know competition can be fun in and of itself, but if the build itself feels bad, I don't know. Like you're just not going to perform to your best, right? And that's what it takes to win these events, is playing at your best.
The Fizz.Scion is one that we've seen have some success.
Agreed.
So if he's looking to push a less competitive ladder, I don't know if this is even the choice though. Like Youngern's been playing real well. Is he going back to Scion, or is Youngern swapping to Templar now though? Like you can do Scion totems.
I'm actually.
So it is a choice there, but I'd imagine it's Hierophant. My assumption was Hierophant.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Templar looks kind of free right now. Well, I say free. It's like it's even. Okay, free.
In that place where it looks free to everyone, so everyone's going to roll it. Like we've seen 5 people look to reroll Templar now. Like Steel has backup Templar gear, and apparently he's planning to reroll tomorrow. I think Zizaran is rerolling Templar.
Already has, yeah.
Drone might be.
Unless, because I know it's like Scion, Templar, and Marauder are all around that, like they're like all the characters are topped out at the 95 level, like 95 point range, which is just pure level contribution. So they're all in that some similar stage. While we do have some gladiators, and we did have Lady as a ranger pushing sort of these endgame bosses. So I expect in the next day or two we're gonna see a lot of movement in the ladder, a lot of rips, a lot of different boss kills. It's gonna force their opponents to sort of engage with the content.
Scion might actually be like this might be big brain from Rise.
Sleeper,
Scion might be the sleeper ascendancy to try and push. Though there is one guy playing Spectral Shield Throw Scion who's like doing really well. So probably going to be difficult to overtake them unless a rip happens.
With the Spectral Shield Throw Scion, is he running Gladiator and then like Necromancer just for like the offering bump?
I can let you know in just a moment.
Because I mean you obviously take that route if you're doing the Exsanguinate playstyle, but I'm not sure you would with the Special Shield Throw. There's like a lot of different options that you can take actually. Like maybe you want to go Ranger or maybe even Deadeye actually, or Pathfinder. Like all the Ranger options in Ascendant are really, really good.
It is. Sorry, I'm having to navigate a few pages here. It's loading. That's what it is. It's loading.
As the internet does.
It is Gladiator Raider.
Okay. Makes a lot of
For
sense.
Onslaught and Frenzy Gen and boss fights and free phasing and move speed is good.
Yeah, just all the things you want. Great option. Again, obviously block is a strong option too, but you know, it's I don't. Both are very solid, and I'm not sure what I would pick honestly.
Taking advantage of Path of the Duelist as well in order to pick up both Wind Dancer and all the Ailment Avoid on the right side of the tree.
Makes sense.
So is fully ailment immune and has some pretty darn sick block chance. It basically is cosplaying as a gladiator, but goes a little bit It doesn't even go faster, probably. Cosplaying as a gladiator, essentially.
Well,
It does have some really nice boots. Got
Yeah.
fugitive boots that are hunter influenced and rolled life, res, faster bleeds, and an open prefix for move speed. That is sick.
Does it have the hemophilia gloves?
No, it has fizz.multi gloves. So no corpse pops on this build. Just
Damn.
relying on the shield throws, like natural coverage.
Mhm.
But my god, the gear is really good. Otherwise,
I'm
as a main
sorry to
weapon?
interrupt you, but I'm Exile just picked all the hardest things for the Metamorph. Something we've seen a lot of players avoid. I mean, damage goes down quick, but
Yeah.
that's sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that just I thought it was gonna be a lot scarier than that. He took it down in about a second, but yeah, not something we're seeing a lot of these top players do. But maybe feels he needs the EXP. He just has to grind as fast as he can.
Yeah, if any build is going to be able to do the Metamorph safely, it will be the Trapper builds where they have that damage set up.
Yeah.
But just to touch on the final points here with the Shield Throw Ascendant, the gear is like some of the best you could ask for in this kind of context. It's a 2.7k armor shield, which is crazy good for this short of an event in solo self-found. It is a warlord weapon with 85% damage over time and damage with bleeding and crafted fizz.multi,
Okay.
so a crazy good DPS weapon.
Nuts.
Fizz.multi gloves, faster bleed boots. The only thing that they're missing would be maybe a hunter amulet for Fizz.multi, but instead of that, they have an amulet with 2 T1 res rolls, a T1 life roll, and like a T3 strength roll.
Mhm.
So just a disgusting amount of life.
Jeez.
Also a 6-link astral plate. Why not? Why wouldn't you have that?
As you do.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Just
kind of
oh,
insane.
the helmet has double T1 res rolls as well.
Of
Of course it does.
Of course it does. Why wouldn't it?
This gear is nutty.
That's you know what though? I know we're seeing Hajid actually put on a bit of a clinic with his Spectral Shield Throw Gladiator, but I think the DPS on the sign might be higher because of the frenzy charges, like the onslaught, all the things. And I mean,
Frenzies are pretty good, yeah.
yeah, and the gear's insane too, right? I mean, look, granted, you get more damage from like your generic nodes on Gladiator, but if it's not better, it's really close. So
You're gonna have a much easier time getting a good block chance too.
Yeah.
I imagine you aren't really able to cap block on the Scion variant. You
Yeah.
compensate a little bit with like a tiny bit of dodge, but even like 60-something% block is good. Like, spell block is where you're going to be lacking because you don't get the Gladiator perk of attack block becoming spell block.
Yeah.
So just looking over the gear, I imagine the spell block here is at best in the 30s, which is a pretty big weakness versus a lot of the endgame bosses.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do what Hajid did, which is just stand in Eradicator's lightning tendrils, right? Like they're just gonna get deleted.
Yeah, that would be a lot harder to do. Yes.
Well, impossible.
But does still have some pretty crazy good gear, and I don't think we'll have any trouble reaching 95. It's just bosses that might be a little tougher.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes. Like, more than ever in this gauntlet, because we have pseudo diversity, maybe because of the class system or whatever. But it is really cool to see all these different builds and different 3.15 3.15 builds that sort of came out of the woodwork, right? Like the physical trapper, like the Warchief totem, like I don't know, but Detonate Dead is back. It never left, but like it's back at the forefront of the meta. We're seeing Cold Dot as well on screen. I mean, we are. Car's playing it. There's a lot of different avenues for players to engage with this endgame content, and in the gauntlet, which is just like Path of Exile turned up to 15 or 21 or whatever you want to call it, right? It's just awesome to see that there are options. Like people saying things are nerfed. True, things have been touched, but the fact that players are completing the hardest content in the game in Gauntlet with these builds means I'm sure you can do it too in software trade and stuff like that. He rolled so for someone thinks someone asked if that's Spellslinger, Reap, and Exsanguinate on Rise's screen. It is. I imagine he might change into Selfcast later on, or maybe even to another build. But for now, it's at least until like even early or mid yellow maps, like the Spellslinger damage holds up that entire way, and it's a really fun and a really safe playstyle actually, because you can just the one terrible thing about Exsanguinate in general is like the cast speed is so slow. Like it locks you in place for so long. And obviously, Spellslinger, you just completely mitigate that entire deficiency.
And needing to pay the triggered cost for your spells is less of a big deal with
Yes.
Bloodslinger because you have life costs instead of mana costs. So it's not nearly as difficult a problem to solve if you just get some decent regen or maybe recovery on kill or maybe both.
Yeah, like it's just easy. It's just easier to do, right? Like generic regen, even just a vitality gem, and you're probably never ever gonna be seeing your life drop too much. Obviously, like if you activate Corrupting Fever, you're gonna see a big chunk, but just wait a couple seconds, let it tick back up, and then engage with the content that you that you're in.
And usually, say usually these slinger builds as well are going to be linking their corrupting fever in their 5-link actually, and the spell sling setups stay in 4 links, unless you can get access to some more reduced mana reserve somewhere because the mana reservation costs get kind of prohibitive with high link counts.
Yeah, I think, and that was an issue I think Ziz and I think even you guys brought up in the Bay Class podcast with Chris, is that like Spellslinger just felt like it got double tapped by some of these nerfs with the mana nerfs and then just like the actual support gem nerfs in general. We're still seeing it played, so it's obviously still viable, but I think if they returned it to like the original, I think what is it, like base 25% and it goes down to 20 by level by gem level 20, it would feel a lot more consistent for a lot of builds.
You can see Rise's reroll versus Laserface Piety, who is one of the more dangerous bosses in the story, in my opinion, because at this point you often don't have a lot of your tools together for your character. You like maybe have normal lab done and probably don't have some build enabling uniques or links, but this fight does not really pull any punches. However, Rise is quite experienced and gets through it pretty cleanly.
Yeah, looking buttery smooth. Honestly, like, look, the man is practicing Gauntlet, right? I mean, you reroll this much, you're bound to be good at the campaign.
This is what he's very experienced at. Yes, I was trying to hint at it somewhat subtly.
No, I'm just blatant about it. But no, we love Rise here, and honest, like, we're seeing his War Chief build. I mean, granted, it didn't work out in the end, but a ton of people rolled it, right? He's definitely like a player a lot of people look to. Obviously being one of the bigger content creators, but just generally like has a lot of experience in racing and like just pushing rank 1. Maybe hasn't had the success that he would have liked recently, but in the last Gauntlet, I think he had 2 top 5 like rankings in a 10-day event. Like that's nuts. The guy obviously knows what he's doing, just hasn't been able to get his feet under him this time around. But hopefully this is the build that will do the trick for him.
And we can tab into watching more Rise bossing, but it seems like his gear is at the point where he's starting to demolish these enemies, so I don't know if it would be worth full screening for them, but we'll keep an eye up on the top right.
We'll pop Malachi up at the very least, right? Because that's just
maybe Doedre.
Oh, well, no, that's the true endgame boss, dude. I'm not even sure. Actually, is this Doedre in this one?
The Gauntlet, the story mode of Gauntlet, is just a series of progressively harder Doedre fights. Everything else is irrelevant.
Actually, that was one thing that kind of did annoy me about Act 2. It feels like you fight these guys... Like, I know Katava's like the main final boss, like the final god and everything like this, but you fight Shav, you fight Doedre, and fight like Malagaro 3 or 4 times. Like, I feel like they're the main characters here. So, no.
You're the villain. No. It's the underlying theme throughout Path of Exile. We definitely won't go back to the Atlas, Zana. We definitely won't.
Definitely not. Just takes another hit of another 5 Delirium Orb map. You know, come on.
Get them Delirium Orbs in my veins.
Pretty much. Oh, Scarabs? Come on, just one more hit, dude.
Alright, here's Doedre, and this is a good example of the positioning you want in this fight. You want to run around the edges and stay near the pillars. The pillars will block her projectiles. So as a result, if you're near them and some projectiles start coming your way, you can always run and hide.
And you really want to stay in the Enfeeble, so the green circle, like the temp chains just... It affects your movement so much, you can't dodge the balls, and obviously being in the vulnerability one, they just have a much higher chance of actually killing you, like one-shotting you, so Enfeeble tends to be the safest route. Like, even if the boss fight takes an extra 30 seconds, I'd much rather do that than redo all of Act 1, 2, and 3.
And I guess we'll go back to full screen, because that was the last of Malachi's compatriots slain, and we're on to the Malachi fight itself, which will not be maybe quite as deadly and exciting as the ones at the start of the league were, as I'm sure Rise has some leveling gear, but is still worth watching for people who are maybe struggling with positioning in these fights, as I'm sure Rise will be quite good at that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like it's you watch any of these top players, and it's a bit of a masterclass in how to do the campaign, right? I mean, if you are struggling with any oh god, and those things do shotgun, by the way, those little meat meatballs he's chucking out. But I was gonna say, if you are struggling with the campaign, find a streamer that's playing the class that you are, and just watch them go through it. Right? There's a lot you can get from that, and also just go into the live stream and ask. Right? Generally, people in the Path of Exile community are really, really helpful. I mean, hopefully Octavian and I can help you, but if we can't, hopefully we can. They can help you out. I'm gonna buy an archive
advertising some MTX. Cool.
He doesn't want to die to Malachi. He's making a sacrifice to the GGG gods, and hopefully this can get him through this. Get him through the fight.
This is. We were telling you you'd get the good strats for the boss fights.
To be fair, it does match now with his with his harvest skin. So, I mean, doing it for the boys. Love it.
It doesn't seem like he has much of a source of sustain at the moment. So these triggered life costs are actually impactful.
They're chunky.
He's constantly like missing 10 to 15% of his life here.
He is running is that the iron flask? No,
I think it's just enkindled.
Enkindled, yeah.
I think it's a corundum.
Corundum, thank you. Yeah. Oh god, look at that. There's a lot of traps there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And according to Rise himself, each of those traps like innately has 50% chance to crit. So that's why they do a lot of damage.
His positioning is pretty good though. He hasn't triggered any of them. Ate a meatball, but that's better than stepping on some of the traps. And yeah, we'll make his way out of the fight. Still on 2 feet.
And if you are playing in a regular league, I mean it's harder to do in Gauntlet, but you can use your totems or your minions to actually proc those mines. Not as easy to do in Gauntlet because he's moving around so fast because of the turbo, but if you can like just pop it down, like you feel like, oh, I can't walk over there, I'm really in trouble. Pop down your totem, pop them, and then it frees up some space for you.
And I think we're coming up to the end of the stream soon, we have one more clip that I want to get in before we finish things off.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to throw that on screen right now from Danny290.
And I guess we'll end with this. Oh no.
The video is entitled Dodge Omega Lol.
Okay.
Boop. Boop.
Omega Lol.
Yeah, perhaps a little frustrated that the dodge chance did not proc in any of those hits, because that wasn't a strict one-shot. That was a series of rapid hits.
Yeah, I'm rewinding. I'm just like, you know what? I think we have slow-mo on the YouTube. Yes. So 0.5 speed. Let's see how many times he gets hit here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's even at half speed. That is just a quick 1, 2, 3. Is that the Is it like the hammer throw from these warlord guys?
One
yeah,
sec.
it is. It's like the molten.
Yeah, it's multi-proj hammer toss.
Yeah,
You're right.
multi-proj hammer toss. Yeah.
From the Drox mobs.
Yeah, so we've mentioned it before, but if a projectile has an AoE explosion at the end of it, generally when you add LMP to said mob, it will shotgun you, and that's just what happens. Just bang, bang, bang. Nothing you can do, except dodge or block, and in this case, just didn't proc. Damn.
I do think it's a bit aggressive positioning walking next to that pack to the right, but that isn't the pack that killed him, so...
No. I mean, look,
mistake.
All the influence mobs, they really chunk you down. They're just so strong these days, like, especially in Gauntlet. Specifically, like, with LMP. We didn't see a lot of deaths like this last Gauntlet, because we only had area increased rather than LMP, but... yeah, turns out LMP is an incredibly scary mod.
Alright, that was the last clip I had there.
Alright, I will bring us at the talk show. Octavian, for those that will want more of you, where can they find you, bud?
I live around Florida. No.
You're gonna dox yourself there, bud.
Yeah, the whole state of Florida. Come find me. The Twitch stream you can find me on is twitch.tv/Octavian0. Awesome. That is 0, not an O. And on Twitter you can find me at OctavianZilch.
Awesome. Like, I can't wait until tomorrow. I think we're going to have tons more content. It's been a blast to cast with you today. And chat, it's been a blast to have you on this journey with us. So, I can't wait until tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Love you guys.
Love you too. All right, guys. I'm going to run a quick ad from Ziz, the CEO himself, and then we're going to end stream. Here we go. Bye.
Hi there. I'm an advertisement. Nobody likes advertisements. What about advertisements with Zizaran in it? Nope. Guess I'll leave then. But not before telling you to go to shop.zizaran.com and buy a Gauntlet t-shirt to support everything we do with events. Thank you for the support, and I hope you're enjoying watching the Gauntlet. Shop.zizaran.com. Buy merch to support the Gauntlet. This is a threat. Don't sue me, but it's still a threat. Thank you. Nice.